know what your deal is, Jordan. You just put us live. Yeah. Can't hear a goddamn thing you're saying. And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Deeper Dive. It is Wednesday, February 15th. I am Josh Engleman. I am joined by Adam Scherer. We are brought to you by No House Advantage. 10-game slate coming up today. I prepped this earlier this morning, thinking I was on the strategy show. Found out at about 9 o'clock when I went to make a run sheet that I was not, in fact, on that show. So either way, I'm ready to talk a little bit about basketball. So hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Adam, how's it going? How did your yesterday go? What do you think of this slate? Wherever you want to go with it.
Yeah, going pretty well. Yesterday went well. Had a lot of Matisse Thybulle. If he had played better, I would have had a better night, but still came out ahead, made, 50, 60%. So can't complain there. And looking forward to tonight.
Yeah, Thybulle was, I opened that phone up when I woke up and was just like, okay, well, I'm going to Thybulle because I know, if Lillard didn't play well, then I know I'm dead. Thybulle could actually matter. And his line was 2-1-2 with a couple stocks. Jeez, you're terrible. That's why he's not on the Sixers.
Got pretty lucky with Lillard too, honestly. He had 33 fantasy points at the end of the third. Anthony Simons got hurt and then Lillard went off. Lillard may have gone off anyway. That's kind of what he does in the fourth quarter. But I know for me in higher stake stuff, it was a lot of I need Dame to crush Simons in the fourth. And then Simons rolls his ankle and he's done. So that was pretty helpful.
Well, I had a bit of Simons, which didn't help, but I always have a bit of Simons. It definitely didn't help me to see Kevin Huerter miss 2 free throws. I didn't think that was even possible, that he could go 0 for 2 from the line. I don't want to make any assumptions, but when I look at Kevin Huerter, I assume he's a good free throw shooter.
Yeah, you would think.
Turns out he's a 75% free throw shooter, and that was not enough.
Really? I would have guessed he was 85 and just happened to miss 2 free throws.
So he was at 80 and a little bit higher in Atlanta, and he's actually at 70 so far this year, which is interesting. But either way, even at 80, whatever, I hate him. I hate him. And then stupid OT in the Celtics Milwaukee game cost me a Giannis prop. So I'm very happy that yesterday is over. I'm ready to talk about today. You ready?
Yeah.
Well, let us get into it. Hit that like button, folks. 44 likes, 300 viewers. I know we're going to get it up, but I think it's now time for us to run that number a little bit higher. So if you guys could help us out, hit that thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. Game number 1 on the docket. The San Antonio Spurs, 7-point dogs in Charlotte, 243 total. I hate that this game matters today. I hate everything about it. Both teams suck, but we got to talk about it. For San Antonio, we have no Trey Jones, no Devin Vassell, no Romeo Langford, no Isaiah Roby, no Khem Birch. Q-tag on Dougie McBuckets. Let's just open it up here. What's the best thing that you see from the San Antonio Spurs?
Zach Collins.
Okay. Hard to disagree there. 5,100 playing, hopefully 28 minutes. Really good point per dollar play. I have no qualms getting to Zach Collins at all. Is that a guy you're expecting to have a bunch of, or is it just because with him just being at center, it kind of just becomes a crapshoot of what you end up with at center?
Yeah, I expect to have a lot, but like you were saying, it is a deep position. I'm loading the crunch that I just finished running right now to see sort of, where I would end up with early ownership and all of that. But I think Collins looks great. I would certainly expect to have a lot of him. It's just a cheap price tag and a great spot. He had been he'd be my highest owned guy right now if the slate started just pretty much jamming him in with the way things currently look. But It's just, he had been kind of difficult. He'd been an interesting tournament play on his last couple of slates because you had the really, really cheap Mark Williams, and then you had Jokic in really good spots, and then obviously other centers as well. But now you have Mark Williams actually more expensive than Collins. You have Collins in a great spot. Last game, he was also facing Cleveland, so it made it really tough to get there. But you have him now in a great spot, a little bit cheaper than Williams. You still have Jokic and a bunch of other good centers, but it just looks like the most appealing spot for Collins that we've really had since Pirtle left, which I'm sure means you're going to have massive fouls coming. But assuming that he doesn't get in foul trouble, you're likely playing 28 to 30 minutes. We know he's a good point per minute guy. Overall this year, 1.07 DraftKings points per minute. And he's just going to look really good facing Charlotte.
So here's my question for you. And we're going to have to lump Charlotte in. You brought up Mark Williams. I'm curious there because we're seeing 46% ownership coming into Collins, 19 to Mark Williams. I just ran my crunch. I loaded it in, and I'm basically flip-flopping those two guys. And I don't have much of an issue with that. How do you see that relationship between Collins and Williams?
I won't be upset if I get to more Williams, but right now I'm pretty much just jamming in Collins. He projects better. He's cheaper. So yeah, like I think he should be more popular. I think Mark Williams is still a good play at 5,300, but Collins to me just looks a bit better. I wouldn't be upset if I did get more Williams than I'm getting right now and less Collins, but right now I have like 89% Collins, like 9% Williams.
Wow. Okay. So yeah. So like I basically almost to a T flip-flop their ownership, which I don't mind. It does scare me a little bit for Collins, but I'm surprised. I guess I'm a little surprised to see, a 2.5 to 1 gap basically in ownership. Seems a little excessive, but what are you going to do?
I mean, it just comes down to Collins being $200 less and projecting 2+ points better.
I have the projection slightly different, but I'm sure you're not surprised to hear that. What do we want to do with Kelton Johnson at 6,600? Small forward only, but we know it as a position sometimes difficult to fill. He's quite chalky, but I mean, he kind of, I don't know if like being the guy that does everything for the Spurs is like a badge that you want to wear, but he kind of is that guy.
Yeah, so this is weird. And this is why, I've said a bunch of times that, when you and I are talking about the exposures that we would have, if you're watching, you shouldn't necessarily listen to that as saying like we think somebody's a great play or a bad play because everything sort of goes hand in hand. If the slate started right now, I would barely have any Kelton Johnson. But a big reason for that, it's not that I think Kelton Johnson is a bad play or I dislike Kelton Johnson. It's that if I'm jamming in Zach Collins, Kelton Johnson's ownership starts to become more problematic in those lineups, having them together when you have, 46% ownership coming into Collins, 33% coming to Keldon, and then, a bunch of other popular plays that look good as well. That sort of starts pushing it down. So like, I think Kelton Johnson is a good play here. It's a great matchup. 6,600 is a reasonable price tag. He's got about a 30% usage rate without Devin Vassell on the floor this year. No Trey Jones. So, potentially even more production there. Overall this year, without Jones or Vassell on the floor, 502 minutes, 1.1 DraftKings points per minute. So about the same as when, just Vassell is off. He looks good. It's just if I'm playing a bunch of Zach Collins and if I'm playing a bunch of Lamelo on the other side, and some other plays that are going to be really popular, I just end up losing Kelton Johnson. But I certainly wouldn't be upset if I end up with more by the time we get to lock because I do think he's a good play.
Yeah, he's very much in high consideration in cash games on DraftKings. I think we're on the same page there. It's interesting the way that you just laid that out. Because I'm lower on Collins, I'm higher on Mark Williams. I am getting to Kelton Johnson. So like I'm taking that ownership discount with Williams, which is allowing me to take the ownership from Kelton Johnson. Instead, you're doing it flip-flopped. And like there's no right answer to either of those things. I would be just as happy if I had less Kelton Johnson, more Zach Collins, less Mark Williams. It wouldn't make much of a difference to me at all.
Right. Like if this balances out some for me, and by the time we get to lock, I'm around the field on Collins, I'm able to get up to more Kelton Johnson, that's fine. But I also don't care if I'm just jamming in Zach Collins and then, finding other forwards that I can get to because there's plenty of guys that I like there as well. But yeah, they both look like really good plays. They are both also really popular.
Yeah. That's what happens with a 243 total with two teams that are just abysmal defensively. What do you want to do with the rest of San Antonio? Sohan's pulling 15% ownership. Devontae Graham is pulling 18 off what I assume is the bench. A little bit from Keita Bates-Diop. Where are you going with the rest of the Spurs?
I'm getting a bunch of Devontae Graham right now at only 4K. Just looks like a good value option. He closed both halves last game. That doesn't have to happen again, but if it doesn't, you're probably getting like 22 to 24 minutes from Graham. But if he does close, you have that path to 28 to 30 minutes. So far, he's played 84 minutes for San Antonio, 1.15 DraftKings points per minute. We know this is somebody that can produce on, a point per minute basis. He's always been able to produce fantasy points when he's on the floor. It's just a matter of whether or not he's able to be on the floor for whatever team he's on. But for the Spurs right now, there's no reason that he wouldn't be playing solid minutes and 1.1 to 1.15 fantasy points per minute so far, has nearly a 23% usage rate, 24.5% assist percentage. So the rates back it up as well. There's always some risk in, playing a lot of a guy off the bench, but based on the rotations we've seen so far, it seems like he's pretty firmly in this rotation and certainly has the potential to close games as well.
Anybody else you want to touch on here from the Spurs?
I think Sohan looks fine. I'm not really getting to him either. Same reasons that I'm not getting to Kelton Johnson, probably. There's just sort of some interchangeable pieces there, but no issue with him. If you want to, there's a few spots like this on the slate that we'll talk about, but if you want in large field tournaments to play the leverage game, Charles Bassey is getting 4% ownership to Zach Collins 46. If Zach Collins gets in foul trouble, Bassey is most likely picking up most of those minutes. It's not something that I expect to really go to, but if you want to take that risk, I think it's available to you.
On the Charlotte side, lots of ownership coming into this team, but it's very balanced in comparison to the way that it looks for the Spurs. 25 coming into Lamelo Ball at 10,400. And then it's just basically 15. Go ahead.
Rozier's doubtful now.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
Basically 15 to PJ Washington, Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward, Mark Williams, and Dennis Smith Jr. But based on the news that we got about 2 minutes ago, Terry Rozier going to be doubtful for this one. So, I mean, I guess we got to talk about it holistically. Like, LaMelo is likely to be more interesting now than he was when Terry Rozier was going to play. Who gets the biggest benefit with Rozier out here? Is that going to be like Bryce McGowan's?
So I think maybe you see more minutes for Dennis Smith Jr. He'd been playing decent, 22 to 24 minutes recently. You can certainly see him get up to like, 25, 26 or something like that. I thought he was kind of an interesting tournament play anyway. Now he's certainly more interesting. He was already pulling ownership too, though, at 16%. So, probably not going to get tons of him, but he does look like a reasonable option and certainly looks better now than he did. So I don't mind getting there. LaMelo is going to look better. With Rozier on the floor this year, 1.29 DraftKings points per minute for LaMelo. With him off the floor, 1.42 DraftKings points per minute. You already expected LaMelo to play big minutes as well, but this helps solidify that too, as long as he avoids foul trouble. So he's going to look better. Dennis Smith Jr. is going to look better. Gordon Hayward probably sees a bit of a bump in usage here. It's tough for him to be a high usage guy when he's playing the bulk of his minutes with LaMelo and Rozier. But if you're going to replace Rozier with Bryce McGowan's or even Dennis Smith Jr., who's not a super high usage guy, that's going to be available for Hayward. It's going to make PJ Washington look a bit better as well.
I'm thinking we're going to see Svi Mykhailiuk play at least a little bit today. I don't think that he will matter at all from a DFS perspective. But, they got to soak up 35 additional minutes. And this is a team that does not deviate with rotation. They have played basically like they don't, even in blowouts, like they don't have blowout run for random dudes. Nobody else shows up here. Book Knight's in the G League, Maladon's in the G League. Like they just don't have that kind of roster. So it feels like DSJ 3,700 probably going to take a pretty sizable jump up. He kind of just has to soak up a little bit more time. Like there's not enough upward mobility for Gordon Hayward's minutes. What do we do with 35 minutes of Terry Rozier now? Right.
So I think you're going to get more for Dennis Smith Jr. You probably get actual rotations from JT Thor now. He played 7 minutes last game. You probably get him just playing, 12 to 14 minutes. My guess is that McGowan's starts and plays considerable minutes. He's a 0.6 fantasy point per minute guy this year. So it's not like you're going to be very confident in him, but he is 3K. He is going up against the Spurs and he is, if he's starting, likely to play a bunch of minutes. So I think he probably soaks up a good chunk of those minutes also.
Yuck.
And then, like you said, Mykhailiuk probably in the rotation.
Yeah. I'm assuming he's like, they want him to play. Who the hell knows? But like they're out of bodies. They don't have anybody else. Like there's literally, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They only have 9 guys.
Wait,
so
what?
They only have 9 active bodies today. Ball, Hayward, Washington, Williams is 4. Richards is 5. Smith and McGowan's is 6 and 7. Mykhailiuk and JT Thor are 8 and 9. Based on what I see, I don't think they have anybody else.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they were that.
Maladon's in the G League. Book Knight's in the G League. Cody Martin out. Oubre out. Kai Jones doubtful as well. So
yeah.
So best I can tell, they have 9 guys.
Anybody from the G League.
Let's see. Did we see anything like that on the 4:30 injury report? We might at 5:30, but no. Book Night is available.
Okay.
So they have 10 guys. Now I don't think Svi Mykhailiuk plays. I think it's Book Night, but I also don't care. Neither one of those guys are going to be playable today.
Right. The main takeaway is that Dennis Smith Jr. certainly looks better than he did before, and he already looked decent. There's a good chance. So I said that I had a ton of Devontae Graham. There's a pretty good chance that when I rerun everything now, a lot of that Devontae Graham has turned into Dennis Smith Jr. And Bryce McGowan's, if he starts, is going to end up as basically a Matisse Thybulle type play on a slate where you don't really need it.
Yeah, that is not the kind of guy I want to get to today.
Do you think Dennis Smith Jr. starts or McGowan starts?
McGowan's.
Yeah, it's my guess as well.
Yeah.
Probably Dennis Smith Jr. closing, McGowan starting is my guess.
Agreed. They seem to like McGowan's. Honestly, I don't know much about him.
I know he's terrible from a fantasy standpoint, and that's all that I know.
I mean, he's just not the type of guy that I even care to know about. 40th draft pick in 2022, 13% usage this year, 50% true shooting, 33% from three. He's negative 6.5 on EPM, which is 1, 2,
I didn't know it went that low.
4, 5. That is tied for the sixth worst player in the league with Isaiah Roby, Fontecchio, Bryn Forbes, and your boy, Will Barton. He stinks.
Yeah, that's bad. I was expecting him to just be somebody that like was really positive defensively or something.
I mean, honestly, if I give Bryce McGowan's, let's just say 24 minutes, I don't think I'm going to get him at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't really expect to. I don't think this is a slate you really need to. Like, you just have enough underpriced guys, and you also don't have pay up guys that you have to jam in. Like, you have Jokic, you have Doncic, they're both fine, but they both, sort of have their own issues too.
Stupid Oklahoma City have brought back Aaron Wiggins, Trey Mann, and Ousmane Dieng from the G League. I think Wiggins went down an hour ago.
Wiggins started their G League game today.
Oh, did he?
So did Mann.
Okay.
I think Dieng might have also. I don't know.
Okay. Well, thanks OKC for that one. Fantastic. Anything else for the Hornets? Because kind of just play everybody.
This game is fantastic. I said this morning with Lofty, like, this is the epitome of what gambling does for the NBA. Like, this is the first game that I will put on my TV when I'm deciding what to watch tonight, and otherwise it would have 0 people watching.
Darko in chat, just whether Dennis Smith Jr. starts or not, he has to play more, and at 3,700, like, he's going to look good whether he's starting or not.
Yeah, and also
he's going to be one of the better value plays, even if he's coming off the bench.
Right. He's going to look like a good value either way. I agree that if he starts, the minutes do look better, but he's going to look good either way. But there's also just no point in caring about it at this point. It's the first game of the night. You're going to get the starting lineup. You don't need to figure it out right now.
No. But once you bump him to 28, he's automatically going to be one of the better, or potentially the best point per dollar play that we have, at least as of right now. Anything else for the Hornets?
No.
I hate having to spend so much time on that first game, but like, we had to spend that much time on the first game. Chicago Bulls, 2.5-point dogs in Indiana. Bulls are going to be without DeMar DeRozan, Derek Jones, Javonte Green, Q tag on Caruso and Goran Dragic, which both actually matter a ton here. Got about 15% ownership coming to Levine, Vooch, Caruso if he's in, Kobe White as well. Tricky team for today. I thought I would like Levine and Vooch more, but I think the prices are just sort of where they should be. Unfortunately for me, I think I like Alex Caruso the most out of everybody, and I really don't want that. Sorry, boss.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot right now. I do think that goes away with Terry Rozier not being expected to play. I think I still get the Caruso, but just not nearly as much as I was right now. The minutes, assuming he plays, I expect he'll start and play, 26, 28 minutes. At 3,400, it's just too cheap of a price tag, even though he's not a very good point per minute guy. But, certainly looks worse now that we have Dennis Smith Jr. value.
It's just totally gross. What do you want to do with the rest of these guys? Like, obviously, you're fine with getting to Levine and Vooch. Do you see yourself getting to any other real volume from the Bulls?
Probably not. I think it's pretty much those three right now. Again, I'd be getting to the most Caruso, but that's just a value thing, and that'll change a bit. But Levine and Vooch both give you massive ceilings. They get a bump in production without DeRozan, as you would expect, but it also can lead to a bump in playing time because you need their offense with this team. Like, there's nobody else really on this team that provides offense other than Zach LaVine and Vucevic. So in addition to increased usage, you can see increased minutes for both of them. Derek Jones Jr. being out also makes me think there's a little bit better chance that you get increased minutes from Vooch. Obviously you expect Drummond to play the backup center minutes, but it just makes it even easier. Or there's one less body that potentially takes a minute or two from Vooch. Like, it's even easier for him now to play 36 or 37. So certainly like both of those guys. The opportunity cost on Vooch is massive, but very, very high ceiling for him. Good matchup as well. So yeah, like getting to them. The Caruso value looks good. Other than that, I don't expect to get to too much. Kobe White right now pulling similar ownership to Caruso. if that's going to be the case and Caruso's starting, I would rather just play Caruso. It's not like Kobe White's a great point per minute guy when Zach LaVine's active anyway. Just plays a completely different role. So it's, if this changed and you were getting like 20 to 24% ownership to Caruso, 6% to White, then yeah, it would start to be kind of interesting. But if they're going to be similarly owned and Caruso's starting for $600 less, I would just be playing more Caruso.
On the Indiana end, we're waiting on the news of Miles Turner's Q tag and Daniel Tice's Q tag. They are both very, very important for value for the rest of the day. But for now, the only ownership coming into Indiana is to Benedict Mathurin, 4,800 shooting guard, small forward, 23% owned. And I don't really disagree with that ownership. I think it's going to change a little bit now that we're starting to open up a little bit more value. But as far as like a point per dollar play at a reasonable salary with the best position you can get to, like, I get why it's happening.
Yeah, he looks good. Good matchup as well. He's cheap. He's got potential to play 32 minutes. On average, you're probably getting around 27, 28. But if this game's competitive and if he's playing relatively well, he's likely to be in the closing lineup. 4,800 doesn't do a lot in the way of peripherals, but at that price tag, just give me somebody that can score points and has, favorable positional eligibility. 0.91 DraftKings points per minute overall this year. 25.8% usage rate. So the upside's certainly there. The ownership's there, probably going a little bit over owned, but nothing too crazy.
I don't anticipate getting too much else from Indiana. Don't mind any real shares of, like, if I get a couple shares of any of the starters, I think that's fine because I think it's a good game environment, but I don't see anybody that I should be talking about.
Yeah, nothing that stands out. Like Tyrese Halliburton in a lineup is a good pivot, but you just have so many good guards on the slate as well.
And then we keep it moving. We go to the Cleveland. This one should be as easy as it gets to talk about. The Cleveland Cavaliers are 1-point favorites in Philly, 216 total. I'd like to watch this game. I like both teams from a real talent perspective. From a DFS perspective, though, a little bit different. 3% ownership is the max that we're seeing to anybody from Cleveland. I got 2 shares of Jarrett Allen. If any of those 4 main guys end up in a lineup, cool. But like, this is just not a good DFS spot today.
Yeah, brutal game to try and get to. There's a couple on this slate, and this is one of them. Like you said, it should be a fun actual game, but I'll be watching the Spurs and Hornets instead. So nothing that looks very appealing at all. It kind of goes without saying, if you get to any of those main 4 guys from Cleveland, that's fine. It's not like you need to like rework your lineup or something. Any of Garland, Mobley, Allen, or Mitchell all have high ceilings, but there's just so many guys at their respective salaries and or positions that are going to just project a bit better today that they get pushed pretty far down the list as far as, contrarian plays go.
The good news for me is that I don't have to get tortured for Spurs Hornets. I can't watch that one unless for some reason it's some sort of like national televised game, which that would be a disaster. But I am blacked out for that bad boy. So I get saved from that torturous affair. We go to the opposite side for Philly. Also should be pretty easy to talk about. Highest owned guy in this one for the Sixers is 3.3% owned Joel Embiid at 11.3. I would happily get to Joel Embiid more than that number if it happened. And as we open up more value, it'll become a little bit better. But much like the Cleveland side, I don't really see anything here.
Same. I'd have like 5% Embiid if the slate started right now and pretty much nothing else. Difficult matchup against Cleveland. You're never upset about getting to Embiid or Harden. The problem is just the opportunity cost for both guys. Embiid is a center. You have, you can play Mark Williams plus Zach Collins for less money than it costs to play Joel Embiid. You get Vooch, who's a lot less expensive. You have Jokic in the same price range. You have so many good centers on this slate, and then you get Embiid in a really tough matchup. It's just a very, very thin, line to walk to get the game that you need from Embiid, and then also everybody else that you don't have that is less expensive, not putting up a massive game. Harden's kind of in that same situation. He's 9,800, so he's $600 less than LaMelo against the Spurs. He's not that much less expensive than John Morant or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's more than Tyrese Halliburton. It's just really, really tough to get to anything here.
We're into the program, and the man on the opposite side of my bet, Raboshua, puts in the super chat. Will you still enjoy this game when Cleveland stuffs it down Philly's throat? As of right now, the Philadelphia 76ers are 37-19. The Cavs are 38-22. We have a bet for more regular season wins this year. I'm feeling pretty good. Philly picks up a win here. That ties us in wins and puts me 4 losses ahead. A couple games in hand there for Philly. I'm feeling pretty good. Who has more regular season wins at the end of the season, Philly or Cleveland?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
I
They're
have
basic.
no idea.
It's 38 to Cleveland right now, 37 to Philly. Who do you prefer as like which team would you want to take?
Cleveland.
I figured you were going to say that just because it's the opposite side of me. Go Sixers, everybody.
I wasn't listening, so I didn't know what side you had. Cleveland's my answer, though.
Fair enough. Yes, I have the Sixers side of that one. Well, what do you know? Guys, hit that like button. 1,500 people in here, 193 likes. Man, I'm going to really enjoy that liquor when it shows up at the house. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't done it already. Schedule for the rest of the day. You guys know the drill. NBA Live Before Lock coming up next. They'll go from 6 until 7:30. And then you get PGA Live Before Lock from 8 to 9. Go check out my buddy Ben breaking down all things golf for tonight. And then promo time, there is a coupon code that you can get to using the link in the description that will give customers 50% off their first week or month of any non-Fantasy Cruncher package. No discounts on Fantasy Cruncher. But if you want to see any individual sport or our Platinum package, which covers everything we have, you can get 50% off using the link in the description. That's projections, ownership, the lineup generator, our lineup builder, boom bust, leverage, all that good stuff. Everything behind the paywall. You can check it out for 50% off. Just doesn't include Fantasy Cruncher. Be aware. Don't be sending in emails like, yo, this code didn't work. Well, did you try to buy a Fantasy Cruncher package? That's why. You can see the link in chat as well, which will help you out. Thanks to Jordan for that one. The New York Knickerbockers, 3-point dogs in Atlanta, 233 total for this one. The Knicks are becoming pretty easy to talk about now, even with Josh Hart here. 7% ownership coming to Brunson, 7 to Randall. Nothing else really coming in anywhere else. I don't mind getting to Brunson or Randall, but I don't really find this team appealing.
No, this is another game that I think is pretty unappealing from a fantasy standpoint. Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, certainly both fine if they just happen to land in a lineup, but going to be pretty difficult to prioritize those guys. I don't really care to get to anything else from the Knicks here. Just a pretty much correctly priced team, a healthy team on a slate where you have a lot of not healthy teams.
I have no idea what this team is doing with their rotation any longer. And it's, the Knicks? Yeah. Like at least they don't mess around and like bring people in and out of it, but they just have so many guys that could be a part of the closing lineup that there are certainly spots where you would want to get to one of these guys, but it's a random number generator to get to that guy.
Right. Like there are some slates where a 6K RJ Barrett here would actually be worth talking about, or a $5,700 Josh Hart would be worth talking about. I don't think it's today, but there are going to be Knicks slates going forward where it's just like, yeah, I don't know. RJ Barrett is popular because he got the minutes the last 2 games. So I like Josh Hart because maybe he'll get the minutes today. Like you're just going to get stuff like that today. I don't think you need to worry about it too much.
I agree. So we go to Atlanta, and much like the Knicks side, the Atlanta side looks the same. 7% ownership coming into Trae Young at 9,600. Feel free to get yourself some $8,400 DeJounte Murray if you would like. The big piece we have here, Q tag on John Collins, and that's really the only way that we can unlock anything. And I don't even know how much we would unlock if it happened to be Sadiq Bey again. Do you see yourself getting to much of Atlanta? And what do you think happens if Collins ends up out?
No, Trae Young in that same boat with Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson, where I don't care if I get him. Like, great, he's Trae Young. I have like 4% right now. I have like 3% DeJounte Murray, but nothing that stands out here. If Collins is out, I assume you're getting Sadiq Bey starting. It is worth noting he was 5,800 last slate. Now he's 5K. He only played 21 minutes in that game. You had Bogdan Bogdanovic close over him. I think it's likely that he, again, plays low 20s if he starts, but there would at least be the potential for, him to play well and just play his way into like 30 minutes at 5K and end up looking like a good value. The problem is that he still has to contend with AJ Griffin and Jalen Johnson in the rotation. And then it is just very likely that Bogdan Bogdanovic ends up in the closing lineup over him. So you can't really give him enough minutes to actually project well, but there is some volatility there.
Yeah. Just another gross game. Like there's so very little to break down for Atlanta. Lucky for us, we get to break down the Detroit Pistons for today. What a great team this is going to be. Jalen Duren, not on the injury report. James Wiseman, not on the injury report. Still no Marvin Bagley, although apparently he will be back when we get back from the All-Star break. So if you thought this sucked a lot before, it's about to suck even worse once that happens because they've got too many dudes already. And then Nerlens Noel is out, as if that matters. Let's start at the top. It came out after the trade that James Wiseman was going to be the starting center for the Pistons. I don't know if that means today or not. It doesn't appear to mean today around the industry. Do you think James Wiseman's going to start today?
I have no idea. I have a hard time putting him into the starting lineup until I see it confirmed, because that report made no sense to me. And now, it's his first game. And like you said, I don't know if that means he is eventually going to start or if it meant he is going to get off the plane and join the starting lineup. So until we see it confirmed, I'm fine just assuming it's Jalen Duren. But I don't know. I mean, that was reported when they made the trade that he was going to be their starting center. I will believe it when I see it, but shouldn't surprise you if he starts. And if he does start at 3,400, he is at the very least interesting in tournaments. I would still be cautious because, you still have, I would assume he's just splitting minutes with Jalen Duren. And, you still don't have a big margin for error at center tonight with how deep the position is. But if Wiseman's starting at 3,400, he's certainly playable.
Yeah. Not pulling any ownership as of right now. What's your how do you want to split their minutes? Let's start here. Do you think they'll play alongside of each other at all?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm not very confident in that.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell me that they play 2 minutes alongside of each other, and that would not be a surprising feature of this game whatsoever. So how do you want to handle the minutes?
If Duren starts, I think it's 28-20 Duren.
Okay.
If Wiseman starts, I think it's probably 24-24.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm just having a tough time. I'm just having a tough time mentally taking a bunch of minutes away from Jalen Duren for James Wiseman.
Oh man, with that's obviously a reasonable stance to take, I guess. But at the same time, are they any different? If James Wiseman does start, we get that report that says we think James Wiseman's going to start moving forward. And then today we get a lineup that says James Wiseman starting. I don't think it's crazy to think that they just want Wiseman to start. I don't think they're all that different of guys.
I mean, I think Wiseman is a lot worse than Duren.
I mean, they're both, 66 and 65% true shooting this year. They're both, 90th percentile rebounders.
One of them is an absolute zero on defense, and one of them is not.
I guess. Look, I think there's something to Wiseman, looking worse because he was playing around the best. As weird as that sounds. This is a guy that doesn't have he basically missed a bunch of high school. He basically didn't play in college. He has basically missed everything in the NBA. It's pretty easy to look really, really lost when Steph and Clay and Draymond are out there and they've been playing together for a decade. I wouldn't be surprised if he could just go out there and look like Jalen Duren does.
Yeah, maybe. Right now, he is in the 0th percentile in defensive plus minus EPM right now.
Yeah, it's pretty ass. What do we do with the rest of Detroit here? I'm assuming that Beef Stew is the starting power forward no matter what, but I also don't know if that's the case. They could easily just let that be Boyan, and now it's any other guy starting. Who are you rostering from the Pistons?
Hopefully not much of anybody, but if Wiseman's starting, I'll be playing some $3,400 Wiseman. I don't really see a way around that. If he's coming off the bench, I don't mind getting some Alec Burks or some Killian Hayes. They're both cheap. The minutes should be there for them, but I don't see anything that really looks that appealing here. In a tough spot against Boston.
I agree.
If Wiseman starts, to me, he's the most appealing piece from Detroit.
Agreed. 6,200 small forward, power forward for Boyan. If I get more than the field on a 6% Boyan, that's the piece that I'm okay with. But even then, this is a disaster because this is not a completely ass Boston Celtics team on the opposite side like it was looking like it could be earlier today. Marcus Smart available. Jason Tatum available. Al Horford available. Derek White apparently can hear today, so he's available. No Mike Muscala. No Kabengele. Q tag on Robert Williams. There's no ownership coming into the Boston Celtics here. I'm not going to tell you guys not to play Derek White tonight, but today's probably the day that you don't play Derek White. What do you want to do with the rest of the Boston Celtics? Because I don't really see it here.
Yeah, really surprising with how news broke today. I said on the show with Offie that we had no idea how things were going to break, but most iterations of news left you with plays that looked really good from Boston. We got one that didn't. Jason Tatum clearly is fine. He's 11-2, still playing without Jaylen Brown in a good matchup. It's not like it's a problem playing him, but just doesn't look that great. I'd have about 11% right now. We have him projected for 7%. I don't have any problem with that, but difficult to pay a $7K price tag for Derek White now that Jason Tatum's back. Horford at 5,100 looks fine, but the problem is just that you have so many very, very good centers in that price range that it kind of limits the value of Horford. Smart's back at 6,500. I don't really see anything that I like outside of Jason Tatum.
We're on the same page here. Let's say Time Lord is out for today. What's your expectation here for like who's filling in? Do they actually play Luke Cornett? It seems like they would have to at this point. I don't think they're going to try to resurrect Blake on a back-to-back.
I assume Blake starts if Williams is out.
Really? Okay. 22 minutes and you don't play him because it's a 10-game slate?
Yeah.
Okay. I think Cornett has to play at that point probably, but we're talking like 14 minutes. So, okay, I just want to touch on it. I honestly don't think it really matters for Robert Williams, whether he's in or out for the outlook of the Celtics. Quick piece of news that came out while we were talking. Miles Turner will play today. Daniel Tice will not, which means that we're probably just getting Isaiah Jackson as the straight backup to Turner. And I don't think that there's anything of note for that information. Would you agree?
Yeah, glad that happened because I didn't feel like dealing with Daniel Tice.
Yeah, you know what? Neither did I. It sounded quite awful, if I'm being honest with you. You know what sounds way better than dealing with Daniel Tice tonight?
No.
I thought you were looking up to figure out who the sponsor was. That would be No House Advantage.
I was trying to think.
No House Advantage is the sponsor of this show. We're happy to have them. And they've got a pretty good deal for you guys. You could see it on the banner on the screen. There's also a link in the description. Click it, head on over, make a deposit. They will match that deposit up to $100. So you can get into their standard pick'em contest where you're going to pick player props. You're going to take over-unders. You're going to rank them on a confidence interval. You're going to treat it like a GPP like you normally would on FanDuel and DraftKings. They got the 5K slam dunk going off tonight. Decent chance you're going to get some overlay or at least some reduced rake. That's 2K to first. There's also the PGA 2K Genesis Invitational for round one if you want to get in there. More NBA contests if you want. And you could also just get into the versus the house. So you're just taking player props. If I want to take the over on Kelton Johnson and the under on Jeremy Sohan and the over on Zach Collins, and I'll click another one, over on Donovan Mitchell, under on Evan Mobley, that's a 5-pick parlay that can pay 21x your entry. So you put $10 on that one, you're getting 210 back if those 5 hit. I think that's pretty good. I think you guys should take a look at No House Advantage. We have No House Advantage tools on stochastic.com that can help you out. If you're playing their pick'em contest, we've got optimal lineups already generated for you on the site. You can just take what we've already done and apply them to your lineups. We can also help you out quite a bit if you're trying to play there against the house or versus the house mechanism. We have all of that for you at stochastic.com. So come check it out. Make sure you're signing up using the link in the description. Oof. Let's keep this one moving. The Miami Heat, 1-point dogs in Brooklyn, 211 total. That is dreadful. Dreadful. The problem here is that Miami just doesn't have the bodies. They are without multiple players. No Kyle Lowry, no Tyler Hero, no Victor Oladipo, no Jovic, no Yurtsevin. Few tag on Duncan Robinson, but from what I understand, he's going to just get some minutes for today. He's also coming back off of a finger injury, so it's not like this is some lower body thing where I'd think they'd be more likely to hold him out. Not that I think he's going to matter today. 17% ownership coming to Max Strus at 5K, shooting guard, small forward. Actually, I think that's going to come down as we're opening up some of this value. What do you want to do here with the rest of Miami? Because they're not really pulling all that much ownership, but I don't want to say that I feel like they should, but it's the kind of team that I'm willing to get to because they're not.
So we did just get confirmation that Dennis Smith Jr. will be starting if Rozier is out. So certainly makes him look even better. Was going to look good either way, but certainly looks better with starters minutes. As far as Miami goes, it's a really interesting team because for one, like you said, this game does have a really low total, but for two, the guys that are getting that I think are like the most positively impacted by this team being shorthanded are guys that kind of just suck from a fantasy standpoint. So Max Strus is the one guy I'm getting a good amount of here. He's 5K, shooting guard, small forward. He's played more minutes than Caleb Martin in 3 of the last 4 games, and those minutes should still just be stable with Tyler Hero out. Butler and Bam both look better. They get a bump without Tyler Hero. The problem is just that on DraftKings, Butler is power forward only at 8,800. Bam is center only at 9,300. Those are both positions where you have some value. Center, obviously, we've talked about a lot being a very deep position today, but even power forward, you have some cheaper guys you can get to, PJ Washington being the first one that I think of, but there's quite a bit you can get to there as well. So it just makes it really tough. On FanDuel, it's going to be a little bit easier because Bam is $200 less than he is on DraftKings, and he has power forward eligibility. Butler has small forward and power forward. So you have 15% ownership coming into Bam on FanDuel compared to 4% on DraftKings. He's a good play if you like. He's a good play on his own, just in terms of, he projects pretty well. He's reasonably priced. It's just really tough to actually get him into lineups on DraftKings. It should be a bit easier on FanDuel.
Would you rather have Vooch or Bam?
Vooch.
Okay. I'm nervous about the Strus ownership just because he could easily play 28 minutes and then we get the 36-minute Caleb Martin day. But
yeah, so I was going to say, I'm kind of surprised. This morning we were getting more ownership going to Caleb Martin. Strus now, I prefer Strus. He's shooting guard, small forward as well, compared to just small forward for Caleb Martin. If the slate started when this show started, I would be getting a lot of Strus and not really any Caleb Martin. But in large field tournaments, I don't really mind that pivot. Martin is less expensive, and you are just going to get sometimes that this game plays out and Martin plays more minutes. If this game just repeated itself 1,000 times, there's a good chunk of games where Caleb Martin just walks into 32 minutes and Strus plays less. Or, Martin plays, 34, 35 and Strus plays less.
How are you reading into the Bouye minutes?
I don't care.
Okay. 28's a lot for Monday. So just,
yeah, but if Robinson's back, I assume that's the first place they come from.
I agree. Man, just something to look at.
It is a lot, but I just don't think it matters too much on the slate.
I hope that it doesn't. I don't want it to. I think that's the easiest way to say it. Anything else for Miami?
Nope.
We go to the other side of this one for the Brooklyn Nets. The Nets are totally healthy. Literally everybody that could play for the Brooklyn Nets today is playing, and they are getting no ownership whatsoever. I'm very happy to take some shots at $6,700 Nick Claxton if he's pulling absolutely no ownership, but I don't really see much that stands out here. Roll the dice on a $7,400 Spencer Dinwiddie. These are GPP plays only.
Very, very deep ones too. So the problem is, when you just look, this is kind of like we were just saying with Bam. When you just look at Spencer Dinwiddie at 7,400, it's oh yeah, he could get there. He's got the ability and potential. If the Nets knock down some of his potential assists, he'll look good. But it's just point guard's got so many good options today. And Spencer Dinwiddie in a game with a 211 total really isn't one of them. Same issue with Nick Claxton. We've seen his playing time down recently. I am somewhat encouraged by the rotation last game because, one, they just didn't give a shit about giving Ben Simmons minutes. And two, he wasn't even the pure backup center. You had Daron Sharp getting a nice chunk of those backup center minutes. If they're going to play Simmons alongside Claxton for stretches like they did last game, that at least opens the door to where you get back to Nick Claxton playing 34 minutes in a game. Even though, again, he didn't play a lot last game, but that at least opens the door. Whereas if Simmons is not playing alongside him, it becomes a lot more difficult. But the problem today is just you have Williams, you have Collins, you have Jokic, you have Embiid, you have Şengün that we haven't talked about yet. You have, I'm sure, other guys that I'm forgetting because you have Vooch. You have guys that I'm forgetting because I just quickly name those guys off the top of my head, but it's not a slate where I'm looking to just throw darts at my 12th favorite center.
I totally get where you're coming from. I have nothing else to really add there. I got to around 10% of Nick Claxton. That's not a lot to write home about. I don't mind getting something like that, but there's no stands to take on the Brooklyn side.
Yeah,
it's gross. I do love this team though. I'm fascinated by what they look like over the next 12 months because they're building the team the exact way that I would want the team to look. I just don't know what that ends up.
No offensive players.
Well, they've got every piece of 3-and-D wing that you could possibly want to have. You're uniquely set up. The sad part here for Brooklyn is that it's not a free agent class that is helpful. Fred VanVleet is not that big of an upgrade over the Brooklyn Nets or over Spencer Dinwiddie.
Right. And also, I mean, are the Nets going to have trouble getting free agents for a while now? You've now had 3 players essentially leave and be like, yo, that shit's crazy.
My guess is that the rest of the league still wants to play in Brooklyn and just assumes, like, I bet playing with Kyrie is a pain in the ass.
Right, yeah.
Like, I mean, if you're Kevin, like, I don't think that anybody's looking at Durant like, man, it must have been bad for him. It's like, well, once Harden's gone and Simmons sucks and Kyrie's gone, you just don't stay around if you're Kevin Durant.
Yeah, that's true. But like you do have, like, you know, Kyrie clearly had stuff to say about the Nets. Harden confirmed it basically and was like, glad that everybody realizes I'm not the crazy one.
Yeah. I mean, you're not great, James, but you're
yeah.
definitely, you weren't the low man. That's for sure. Anything else here for Miami or for Brooklyn?
No, I saw somebody in chat say, can you play Caleb Martin and Strus together? There's no reason not to. Like, I'm not going to be getting it very often, but I wouldn't set a rule against it.
No, I would hope that I never get it, but
right. Like I wouldn't really expect it to show up, but
yeah, it would be greatly preferred if it never showed up.
Larry Nance downgraded the questionable.
I legitimately forgot that the Pelicans were on the slate.
I mean, I already think Joval was an interesting center play, and now I think he's a lot more interesting.
Well, we'll get there in a bit. Utah Jazz, 10-point dogs in Memphis, 239 total. 12% ownership coming into Jordan Clarkson, 12% ownership coming into Talen Horton-Tucker. So apparently that's happening again, at least for the public, not for me. We do have pretty important news here. Q-tag on Lauri Markkanen, Q-tag on Rudy Gay as well. Let's start with the Markkanen piece because I don't really see too much that I want to go crazy for Utah. By all means, roster Walker Kessler. By all means, if you want to get to Colin Sexton, both guys look fine in my eyes. But if we don't get Lauri Markkanen, where do the benefits come from here?
Yeah, so if Markkanen's out, for one, I start to like Clarkson more. I don't really get this 12% ownership coming into him, but he does have a 31.5% usage rate without Lauri Markkanen on the floor this year. Certainly would like him more if Markkanen's out. If Markkanen's out and preferably Gay is out as well, that is opening up more minutes for Talen Horton-Tucker. If those guys are in, again, I don't know why Talen Horton-Tucker is getting ownership here. He'd be a perfect option if you wanted to play him at like 3% owned as a pivot. But if he's going to be double digit owned, like we got exactly what I was afraid of, last game, or what I was hoping for last game since I didn't play him. You got what happens if he doesn't benefit from foul trouble and garbage time and he played 20 minutes. That was a game where he also could have benefited because Walker Kessler picked up his 4th foul 3 minutes into the third quarter, never came back into the game. They played Kelly Olynyk at the 5 down the stretch, but that opened up minutes. If they want, like they were playing smaller, they could have just given those minutes to Horton-Tucker. They still didn't. So he's somebody who has a very volatile playing time if everybody is in. And Utah's shown time and time again that they do not prioritize giving this guy minutes the way that apparently everybody in DFS thinks they should or wishes they would. So if everybody's in, I'm cool just not getting to a double-digit owned Talen Horton-Tucker again. If you take out Markkanen and you take out Gay, there's at least a easier path. A lot of those minutes could still just end up being, Fontecchio or Agbaji or other guys. I don't even know who else is on Utah, but
Bolmaro.
Right. But it would make me think that Horton-Tucker is likely to play more minutes if one or both of those guys are out.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for him to not play 22 to 24 minutes if we lose Markkanen and or Gay. Well,
right. And I expect him to be around there even if those guys are in.
Yeah, like I gave him 23 minutes either way, and he looks fine-ish, but the minutes floor is increased pretty dramatically once we lose Markkanen.
Exactly. I think Olynyk looks interesting too. Like he's getting 6% ownership at 5,100. I'd have like 7% if the slate started when this show did. No issue with him. No issue with Sexton. There's nothing I love from this team right now. Everybody sort of is just going to look incrementally better if Markkanen sits because he is such a high usage guy.
Alex Caruso will play. Goran Dragic is out for today. Makes you feel a little bit better about like making any sort of Kobe White pivot, I guess.
Yeah. The Sunu's minutes are secure too, if you want to play the Sunu.
Yeah, I think he's kind of a lock for 32 to 36 at this point. Anything else we should really be touching on here for Utah? Like, we're not going to Markkanen if he plays, right? 9,100 is too much for this slate.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect to get there if he plays. On FanDuel, he's 8,200, so much better price tag there.
For sure. I don't really see anything else that we should touch on for Utah.
No, it's just a team full of secondary plays, I think. If Markkanen's in.
Right. Memphis on the opposite side. Not much to talk about here. Steven Adams is out. Zaire Williams, David Roddy, Jake LaRavia, Kenny Lofton, all with the G League. 16% ownership coming into Desmond Bane at 7,100. Under 10% across the board here for everybody else. I'm getting a lot of Ja Morant at 10-6 right now at 8% ownership. I'm still getting to Bane even at that ownership number. I've got a little bit more of Jaren Jackson. I find this Memphis team very, very appealing given their ownership.
Yeah, it's a good spot. Morant and Bane, the two that I'm primarily getting to. 25% Bane, 21% Morant in the crunch I ran before the show. Just a good spot for them. Reasonable price tags, 10-6 on Morant, 7,100 on Bane. He is only shooting guard eligible. Morant's only point guard, so that hurts a bit. But good matchup. They're both, good point per minute guys. I think they both look good. Dylan Brooks at 4,300, that's a really cheap price tag. And the minutes have been there for him. But I think it is really important to keep in mind, as much as we joke about Dylan Brooks being the guy that just goes out there, doesn't give a shit, chucks up a bunch of shots, he has about a 17.5% usage rate this year in 16 games where all three of Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, and Jaren Jackson Jr. have been in. He's averaged 0.65 DraftKings points per minute in those games. So I do expect him to be on the floor for enough minutes where he's going to just run into some good games at 4,300 through steals, hot shooting, whatever it may be. But this isn't the like Dylan Brooks meme of, oh, he's going to go shoot 18 times and he's 4,300. Like, he's not going to shoot much at all, and he's still going to be a shitty shooter. So it is very difficult to actually want to get there. He is 2% owned, though. Like, that's a nice ceiling just based on minutes for 2% owned Dylan Brooks at 4,300. If the slate started right now, I'd have like 8%, 9%, and that's plenty.
I know it's going to go up a little bit in terms of projection, but like, how do you feel about Morant, SGA, LaMelo, all separated by, they're $100 either direction. LaMelo was overwhelmingly the most owned guy before. Shea, quite a bit less. Morant, even less than that. And I assume LaMelo Ball's number is going to go up here. Do Morant and SGA just look like natural pivots to you to Ball?
Yeah, they do. In the crunch I'd ran before, I was getting a ton of Ball. I was getting, over the field on Morant and not much SGA at all. But that's another one of those distances where you certainly can say, well, I'm going to play less LaMelo, more SGA, more Morant. That's a perfectly fine way of doing it. I do think LaMelo projects the best here. You've got the matchup against the Spurs. Now you have probably no Terry Rozier. So I do think he looks the best, and he's playing. You can project him for more minutes typically than those other two. But, I think from a range of outcome standpoint, Ball's median projection is going to be the highest of the three, but you're going to get a high percentage of the time that Ja Morant wins out, and you're going to get a relatively high percentage of the time compared to ownership that SGA wins out as well. Yeah,
this is just, those three guys are not all that dissimilar and certainly have the same peaks for today across the board. So very interesting maneuvers for large field GPPs to just swap out one of those guys for somebody else, or swap out Ball for one of those guys. I guess is probably the easier way to say it. Do we have anything else that we should be touching on here from Memphis?
No.
Tillman, unowned, 4,200. Just another one of the totally reasonable centers that you can get to, I guess.
I'd have him in one of 150 if this started right now.
I have 3%, just like the field. It's just
I'd have like 6% Brandon Clark. Just nothing worth talking about. Just random shit that ends up in your lineup if you're playing 150 of them, and that you probably shouldn't give a second thought to if you're playing limited lineups.
Brandon Whitney hit us with the super chat, so thank you for that for sure. What ownership setting do you use in the lineup generator for large GPPs? Thanks. Personally, my recommendation would be to choose balanced. I don't think that I would want to take contrarian, but I would certainly look at it depending on how big that contest is. Like 2 days ago, DK ran the big GPP and had 100,000 entries. I'd be much more likely to take contrarian there. When it's like 25, 30, 35, I think balanced is going to get you where you need to be. Certainly not the chalky or cash versions if you're playing the GPP, but I feel most comfortable with balanced. Do you have any other real thoughts there? You'd probably be looking at both sides of it, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it would be either of the ones that you said, and leaning, like, if you're going to go contrarian, that should be for your largest field tournaments. Yeah, because it's like a balancing act, because the natural tendency is like, oh, you just need to play more contrarian, but the larger the tournament is, the worse the weaker the field as a whole is. So you don't want to, like, it just ends up being the best plays are not as highly owned as they are in sharper, smaller fields. So you don't want to, like, just start arbitrarily making worse plays when your opponents are already making worse plays for you. So balanced is probably where I would go, but I would certainly pay attention and just kind of look at the lineups it's giving you for both. If it's spitting out lineups where, like, you have like 2 sub 10% guys for balanced, that would be like perfect. If contrarian's giving you like 5 sub 10% guys, I would not want to play that typically. But yeah, just, kind of pay attention. It would be one of those two.
Okay. So good question, Brandon Whitney. Happy to break that down for sure. You know what else Adam can break down? I think he'd be pretty good at. That would be Bet Pro, NBA Bet Pro in particular, because Adam does an NBA Bet Pro every single day. It's pretty good. You're out there cranking out video after video, giving out the goods on our NBA Bet Pro package. We have all of these projections done on the back end for DFS. We are now transitioning that entire model to the sports betting side here. So these projections that you guys have used for DFS for a couple of years that are maintained by Alex Baker, you know him as Osimo, Steve Buzzard, you know him as DeColts, Sean Zahn, you know him as Sean Zahn. They work on everything behind the scenes. Adam is relaying that information to you in his video. You can get a 7-day free trial. You can see it on the screen right now. Come check out what we've got for you. You're looking at everything across books. We're giving recommended bet sizes for you. It's been ultra successful so far. After the trial, it's going to be $29.95 a week or $100. We're going to say $99.95. I don't want the sticker shock to happen per month, but you can get the free trial with either subscription. Monthly is going to be like a 28% savings over the weekly package. But anything that you've seen using BetPro and going through the videos and stuff, any tips or tricks that you've seen that, like, the first thing that you want to look at when you go to it?
The big thing is paying attention to injury news, and we do have the color-coded injury system in there.
Perfect.
Because typically we're going to, like, questionable players are projected in. But, like, for example, right now, if you go to it and you look at the best bets on DraftKings, the top bet is Colin Sexton under 4.5 assists. The next bet is Kelly Olynyk under 6.5 rebounds. Those are both going to be highlighted because of Lauri Markkanen being questionable. I don't really want to be stuck on an under 6.5 rebounds for Kelly Olynyk if we're going to be losing 35 minutes of Lauri Markkanen. That projection is certainly going to change. If it were the over with Markkanen projected in, then I'm comfortable taking that because Markkanen being out is only going to help. But that's the big thing. And it's, paying attention to that. It's, based off the injury report. So the only time you really need to be, like, super cognizant of it is when you get teams on a back-to-back that haven't released an injury report yet. It's helpful to have an idea of, like, oh shit, this team might just have 10 questionable guys in an hour. But it's just an easy, quick way it highlights it very quickly for you. But yeah, just sort of knowing who is questionable for teams, because sometimes it'll be a spot where it's like, oh, that's not really going to matter here. But yeah, that's the big thing, is just using the highlight system to keep an eye on what bets you probably want to wait and have more information for.
Perfect. Guys, make sure you're checking out BetPro. Link in the description or in chat if you're live right now. Hit that like button, by the way. 2,500 people in here, 326 likes. I think Lofty did a much better job getting likes yesterday than I'm doing today, and that makes me sad on the inside. So if you don't want me to be sad, please hit the like button. If you do want me to be sad, hit it a couple times so it eventually registers. Don't hit the thumbs down. That would bum me out.
If it helps, getting likes wasn't the only part of the show Lofty was better at.
Well, that doesn't help at all. At all. That one stings. Houston Rockets, 10-point dogs in OKC. I feel personally like the Houston Rockets right now after that vicious attack on my ability to host this show. Houston is Kyrie Irving now back to questionable for today. That we haven't gotten there yet, but I guess we'll talk about it in a bit. No Kevin Porter Jr. still out. I kind of just want him to not come back, but basically 15% ownership going to Şengün, Jabari Smith, Jalen Green, Kenyon Martin, Jae'Sean Tate. Not sure I agree with all of them, but very clearly this game environment looks good, and getting to shares of Houston is something that you should be doing.
Yeah, Houston looks good here. Not on quite the same level as the Spurs and Hornets game, but still a team that you should probably be getting a good amount of. Jalen Green and Alperen Şengün, you know the type of ceiling that they give you. Green has point guard, shooting guard eligibility, so he's a little bit more flexible than these point guard only guys as well. About a 30 to 31% usage rate without Kevin Porter Jr. It really just comes down to, is his shot going to fall? Şengün at 7,800, still playing big minutes when he avoids foul trouble. Played about 33 last game and lost 3.5 minutes of garbage time against Philly. You can expect him to play a lot here. He's about a 1.25 fantasy point per minute guy without Kevin Porter on the floor this year. So huge opportunity cost at center, but he's certainly one of the reasons that, that opportunity cost is there. But then one thing that is really interesting about Houston's rotation recently is we finally got some Tari Eason at the 3 minutes, or Jabari at the 3, however you want to word that. They haven't been playing a lot of minutes alongside each other overall this year, and they really haven't been playing a lot of minutes where there's also a center on the floor. But you did get that last game where all three of Eason, Smith, and Şengün were on the floor together. That's good for both Jabari Smith and Tari Eason. Jabari Smith, clearly the one you're going to get to first because he's starting and he's getting the bulk of the minutes. He's only 5,300. So it's good for him. But also for Tari Eason, he's 3,900. He now has small forward eligibility in addition to power forward as well. He's still going to project for that 20 to 22 minutes that he was projecting for previously, but the path to more playing time is just easier now if they're going to play him alongside Jabari Smith. And similarly for Jabari Smith, you can feel better about his minutes because it's not a one-to-one trade-off with Tari Eason. If they decide Tari Eason's going to play, 24 minutes today, it doesn't immediately mean Jabari Smith is playing 24. So it just makes both of those guys look a little bit better than they were previously. Jae'Sean Tate, $3,600 reasonable value, should give you 24 to 26 minutes. KJ Martin at 5,500 looks fine, but Green, Şengün, Smith are the most. Well, they're the guys that I feel the best getting to from an upside standpoint. I do like the value that Jae'Sean Tate offers as well.
There we go. I like it. A couple pieces of news that came in when we were talking about Houston. Doug McDermott is available to play. Derek White will play today. And evidently, Derek White has a hole in his right eardrum, but has been cleared to play by doctors. That might be the first time that I've ever seen ear as a injury status. You just
didn't Drummond. No, Drummond was eye.
Eye. Yeah, the avocado incident. So there's that. Dwayne Dedmon available to make his Sixers debut today. That is meaningless. We already don't know which backup center they're going to play, so just add another one to the list. And Marcus Smart won't have a minutes limit. But then again, everything that Joe Mazzulla said yesterday or today, I guess, about why Robert Williams didn't start was one of the weirder things I've ever seen. So I don't trust anything that's coming out of his mouth.
Yeah. I still don't know what happened yesterday.
Did you see his quotes?
Yeah, I don't remember them, but I got the gist.
Oh my God, it was so bizarre. So bizarre. Let's see. Can I find that quickly? Evidently, I cannot. Not really good at this. Don't say anything. Maybe I'm spelling Missoula wrong. I don't care anymore. Whatever. Pay attention. We're moving on to OKC. OKC is a pretty easy team to talk to in that you would think you would want to get to them because they're facing Houston, but because they don't really do anything different with their rotation, it's always the same stuff. Poku's still out. JRE came back. Omer Yuri's around. Basically everybody that could be available for OKC is available for OKC today. By all means, get to Shea at 10-5. Take shares of Jalen Williams or Josh Giddey or $4,600 Lou Dort, who's probably going to smash a slate at some point in time when his minutes creep back up. But is there anything here you look at for Oklahoma City and think that's a guy I got to get to a lot other than Shea?
No, at the crunch I ran before the show, Kenrich Williams was actually that guy, and God, I hope that changes.
There you go.
I don't feel confident in that at all. It is a good matchup. He is cheap. He can play 30 minutes, but I have no confidence in him. SGA, Giddey, Dort at that $4,600 price tag, Jalen Williams, the wing at $6K. Those are all just secondary options that look fine. It's a good matchup. Those are guys that you can typically count on them to at least play reasonable minutes. Beyond that, though, and I guess Kenrich Williams, which again, I hope that goes away. There's nothing that looks very appealing to me here.
Yeah, I got nothing. Dort is the guy that I start want to take some flyers on at 4,600 because at some point in time, I assume he's going to get back to 30 minutes. And when that happens, I'd like to be first, not second, but I don't know. It's Dort. The Dallas Mavericks are 4.5-point dogs in Denver, 234 total. And I guess we got to talk about it now because there's a lot going on here. Tim Hardaway is out. Maxi's still out. Bertans is out. Justin Holiday is available. Reggie Bullock is probable. Christian Wood and Kyrie Irving are both questionable. That is a late day downgrade from probable to questionable for Kyrie with lower back tightness. It certainly feels like he's not going to be playing today, at which point bombs away on 11-7 Luka Doncic. How do you want to treat this, though? Because if Kyrie's playing, I don't give a single shit about anything on Dallas. But if he's out, Luka just became the best play on the slate?
Yeah. So with Kyrie projected in, I would have around like 2x the field on Luka if he's going to be 7%. It's just the ceiling for him is just still so high that if he's going to be sub 10% owned on a slate with plenty of value, I like getting at least some of him and just hope you catch that huge game. If Kyrie's out, that ownership's going to come up, but he just immediately is underpriced if Kyrie is out, because then you're just back to the entire offense running through Luka, and we're in that same situation we've been in for most of the year. So I like playing him one way or the other. Certainly want to have more of him if Kyrie is out. The nice thing is that we do have a lot of late news that we're waiting on. So even though this is the second to last game, if you have Luka, or I guess I was going to say backwards, like if Kyrie gets ruled out later, you're probably still going to be able to swap some stuff around. Like you're going to have some Jokic, you're going to have probably some Brandon Ingram. Like you're not going to have a ton of spots open, but there should be some stuff there. If you were to take the route where maybe you bump Luka a little bit and then Kyrie ends up being in, you can easily swap from Luka down to some other things. So you're not totally stuck. And it's not like being the nice thing is like, if Kyrie plays, you're stuck with Luka. Okay, cool, whatever. I'll live.
Yeah, I'm not going to be like, it's not as if Kyrie comes to the team and he's incapable of like having a triple double.
Right. And he's a good play regardless. It's just a different kind of good play. It's either he's a good contrarian play because he's Luka Doncic at sub 10% owned, and like that's all you need to know really. Or he's a good play because he's just underpriced with Kyrie out. So one way or the other, Luka's going to look like a good option. I don't mind just, playing him, hoping Kyrie sits, and then live with it if he doesn't.
Just want to let everybody know now, because I think it'll be helpful. You guys should hit the like button so we can get up to 500. But I am going to project Kyrie Irving out, which almost guarantees that man is going to play in tonight's game, because I don't think that I've ever gotten one of these decision points correct. The last time that I tried to do this, I got it wrong 3 minutes later. It was incredible. I basically prompted the world to have that happen. So I'm letting you know right now, I'm going to take Kyrie Irving out of my projections. Feel free to proceed as if he's playing. Cheyenne hit us with the super chat on FanDuel. How do you feel about Lou Dort, and is he starting? That's question number one here. Lou Dort on FanDuel, 5,600 shooting guard, small forward. That is not a price tag that I would like to get to today. He's $1,000 more expensive on FanDuel than DraftKings.
Yeah, less appealing there. Certainly starting though.
And then yes, certainly starting. And then 3 best no house advantage versus the house props. Well, you're in luck. I have our no house advantage Pick'em Pro tool in front of me right now. We've got this where all of the props that exist for prize picks and no house advantage are in front of my eyes as we speak. Brandon Ingram under 1.5 threes is our highest rated prop on no house advantage. We're projecting 1.2, 66% chance to win. Jordan Clarkson under points is at 62%. That is one that I would probably want to avoid for right now, just because it's very possible that Markkanen makes that line look a little bit different. Under in assists for Darius Garland is third. That's 61%. I have no reason to suspect there's nothing waiting in the wings to change that one. So Brandon Ingram under threes, Darius Garland under assists, and then Trae Young under assists at 10.5. Those are the 3 highest ranked props that we have for today. Well, let's move over to the, I guess one question. If Kyrie is out, does it unlock anybody?
That's kind of the tough thing. Like, no, I mean, Luka, but everything just runs through Luka. The one thing that I would really care about is if one of these guys is out and Christian Wood ends up back in the starting lineup. That would be interesting because he is only 7,300 power forward eligible. But other than that, you're just throwing other low usage guys in place of, Kyrie or Hardaway or Bullock, whoever it may be.
All righty. Denver, opposite side of this one. We've got Q tags on Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon. Reggie Jackson is not available for Denver yet. Zeke Naji still out. Whatever Colin Gillespie is also still injured. 15% ownership coming into Jokic at 11.8. I've projected all day that Jamal Murray is out. It would blow my mind that you're bringing him back for one random day before another week off, particularly in the season he's coming back off of tearing his ACL. But, I guess they don't pay me to make these decisions. Aaron Gordon, I don't have a clue. Left rib contusion. I don't really know how, if that's something that can nag or re-injure or whatever. So I do have Gordon in. Do you like, I don't even know how to phrase this. Obviously you're always happy with getting to Jokic, but he is the most expensive player on the slate right now. Luka just became significantly more interesting than he was earlier. I'm a little surprised that he's even getting the ownership that he is, but I think that I just have less Jokic lately. I don't know what the deal is. Where do you stand here?
Yeah. I mean, before the show, I would say I'd be around the field. Now I'll probably be even a little bit lower just because, I like Luka a little bit more since it's more likely than it was that Kyrie doesn't play. You're Jokic's price tag is a little bit cheaper than it probably should be. He's close enough to Embiid now where when I'm paying all the way up at center, I'm going to be getting to Jokic pretty easily over Embiid in most of those lineups. But it's just tough to pay up at that position today because of how many good mid-range and cheap centers there are. It just puts you in that situation on a slate like this where, we have Jokic projected around 60 DraftKings points. Let's say he goes for 68, 69, that's good. There's still a pretty good chance that ends up just being useless. And, you can make better lineups still by not going there. So that's kind of the problem you run into on a slate like this. I think he's a good play. I think he looks, a little bit better if Murray is out, but I don't really love getting there. I think the field right now, I'd be right around the field right now. I don't feel strongly one way or the other.
I had 0 coming into the show. I'm fine with that. If it means that I can get to just Embiid and have $500 less, I don't see those guys as all that different for today. But don't get me wrong. I wouldn't mind having Nikola Jokic. Do you get to anything else here for Denver? I think Aaron Gordon is at least a little interesting if he happens to play. Bruce Brown likely starts, plays about 32 minutes if Murray is out. Good eligibility. I don't find him to be all that interesting though. There's just so much value out there that he's fine. He's just underwhelming. Do you get to anything from Denver?
No, especially if these guys are in. If Murray is out, then it makes whoever else is starting look incrementally better. Jokic, Gordon, KCP, Bruce Brown, Michael Porter Jr. all look better than if Murray's in. If Gordon's out as well, or just Gordon is out, you're probably getting Chonchar. Well, if they're both out, you're probably getting Bruce Brown and Chonchar starting. If just Aaron Gordon were out, I assume you would still just get Bruce Brown starting, but maybe it's Chonchar. Either way, though, prices have come up a little bit. It's just a slate with so many really good plays that I still wouldn't think anybody is more than a secondary tournament option. They're just going to look better than they would if those guys are in.
Okie doke. So let's just keep it moving, close it out. Final game. We're at the top of the hour, but there's not a lot to talk about for this one, although there could be. It's just all sort of hypothetical for right now, and there's not much we can do with this hypothetical information. New Orleans Pelicans are 4.5-point dogs in LA, taking on the Lakers. Hit that like button. We're up to almost 3,000 people. Q tag on CJ McCollum. New Q tag on Larry Nance. No Zion, no Dyson Daniels. Brandon Ingram's okay. The CJ McCollum news is important for the rest of what we're doing. We don't really know how many minutes we can give to Josh Richardson if CJ McCollum is playing. But if there's no Larry Nance here, this team got squirrely.
Yeah, if there's no Nance, you assume you're getting more Joval. And even if you just say Joval's playing 24, 25 minutes like he has been, I like him in tournaments at 5,800 in this spot. Still a very high upside play. Production goes up a bit if McCollum happens to be out. But either way, at 7% owned, I think he's a pretty good tournament play. Just going to look even better, though, if Nance is out, because it just increases the chances that you get that 28-minute game instead of 24. It would also open the door potentially for Hernangomez to be another cheap center option. He is $3,500. We know he's great on a point per minute basis. There's still risk there. Like, you don't know exactly how that rotation is going to go, but I assume he would get backup center minutes and look like a pretty high upside option in tournaments as well. So the Larry Nance news is big, even though I'm not interested in Nance himself. The McCollum news is big. If he's in, $8,200 Brandon Ingram looks good. If he is out, $8,200 Brandon Ingram looks really, really, really good. I'd have about 14%, assuming McCollum's in. If he's out, I would certainly be trying to get to more. Josh Richardson at $3,900, like you said, we don't know how many minutes he's going to play. Even if McCollum is out, I assume he's not playing 34 on average, but he was the first guy off the bench. He did play huge minutes. He did close both halves. He did also, I think, set a career high in steals. You're not expecting that to happen again. But at $3,900, he's an okay value if McCollum is in. He's a good value if McCollum is out.
Anything else you want to touch on here for the Pels?
I don't think so. I think it's pretty much Valanciunas and Hernangomez being heavily impacted by Nance, Richardson and Ingram being heavily impacted by McCollum. Ingram and Joval would be the guy. Oh, Alvarado also obviously looks good if McCollum's out. Ingram and Joval are the guys I would get to first if it turns out everybody's in.
By the way, if Joel Embiid happens to be out today, which would not be like the most surprising thing in the world, be prepared to fire up whoever the hell is starting for Philly. We're going to know who the starting center will be. We're going to get that news, but like, be ready for that information. Just FYI. On the Lakers side, not too much here to talk about. We're still waiting on the Q tag of LeBron James. I assume he's playing today, but who the hell knows? I don't know how much it actually matters. 12% ownership coming into Jared Vanderbilt right now is something that I don't totally understand. I think D'Angelo Russell looks interesting. I don't mind getting to AD, but there are clearly other centers out there to get to. Are you getting to the Lakers?
I'm not. If I did, I think the first three guys I would look to are LeBron, Davis, and Vanderbilt. LeBron and Davis are self-explanatory. LeBron's going to be the easier one to get to since he's small forward instead of center. They're obviously good plays. There's just guys that I'm getting to first. For Vanderbilt, it's just a weird spot where at 4,100, there's a lot of ways this game can break where he just, kind of steps into more minutes and plays well. He does a lot of things well when he's on the floor. He's somebody that I think is going to carve out, like a low to mid 20s playing time kind of rotation for the Lakers. So I think he's probably a little bit underpriced for his ceiling. The problem is just that ownership is coming in there. It's kind of like Horton Tucker, where I would really like taking shots at Jared Vanderbilt in tournaments if he was like, 2, 3, 4% owned and just hoping that I run into a few extra minutes, some extra production. But if 10 to 15% of the field's already going to be there, there's not that much edge in getting them. But I do think he's a little bit underpriced.
If we don't have so much time here, we're already 4 minutes over, but I don't totally agree with that Vanderbilt take. If LeBron's back, we now have Mo Bamba, who is potentially a backup center. Once LeBron and AD are eating up 36 minutes at center and power forward, assuming they're still trying to play Rui like 24 minutes and we're like not bumping people too far down, I don't know how many minutes truly exist for Vanderbilt unless they're going to be done with Wenyen Gabriel and not play Mo Bamba whatsoever. So I'm curious. Yeah, I don't know how much they care about Vanderbilt for this lineup because he's not the guy that can shoot like everybody else was that came in. So
no, but he is a guy that can defend.
Sure. Like if he's 12% owned, I have no interest whatsoever because there are way too many paths where he's just playing 16 minutes.
Yeah, I wouldn't have him right now at 12%. He is somebody though where I just look at the price tag at 4,100 and it's just like, man, that could end up screwing me not having him.
Absolutely. We got to get out of here. NBA Live Before Lock coming up next. Don't go anywhere. Stay right on this stream. I assume it's Greg and Eric. I'm just going to say it's Greg and Eric. As I look at the thing, it says Greg and Eric. Greg and Eric coming up next. Good luck, everybody. We'll talk to you later.
Yo, it's that time of week again. We're inducting you fine people into the Stokastic Hall of Fame, giving out some Stokastic Plus Platinum memberships in the process, and all you got to do to get involved, download the Stokastic profile picture at stochastic.com/avatar. Tweet your wins at Stokastic HOF on Twitter. It's Stokastic Hall of Fame. Get a free month of Stokastic Plus Platinum. Get inducted into the Hall of Fame. Finish top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more, and you're in. Just like our pal, Rajal, who said lineup generator plus boom bust tool plus lineup builder. All of those tools over at Stokastic, by the way, equals money. Got a $10,000 win. Saw the other Stokastic in first place for $100K, and a $50,000 win on the Tuesday NBA shot, the Thursday NBA clutch shot. Monster wins there from Rajal. Love that the tools are working for you. And again, the lineup generator does it again. Almost took it down. Glad one of our guys won at least. This team rocks. Yeah, nice showing for Stokastic in the Thursday NBA clutch shot. And then Rick, thanks for all the tools. Second place in a contest of about 6,000. That gets you the free month, brother. Rick with the $4,000 win there in the 50K chain mover. And then how about David Burton? What's up, man? Let's go. Took down the $12 single entry on DK. We're back in the game. A little $2,000 win there for David Burton. And in a 15K Monday NHL breakaway, grade A picks. Been on a nice little heater on Prize Picks and FanDuel. Props to the NHL Stokastic staff. Arden from Yonkers. Congrats, man. $4,000 right there going to Arden. And then Joe Herm with the $10,000 win. Woke up to this. Let's go. At Stokastic Hall of Fame. Huge win. Congrats, Joe. How about Chris? $1,000 first place in the 10K mini max. Not easy to win that. And then Timmy, I'm not going to pronounce that last name, but finally get that free month, $500 second place in the sharpshooter. Congrats, Timmy. Great stuff. And Avi, thanks, gang, for the advice and support. Couldn't do it without you. Almost 2K there in the big game ball. Followed up by Dave Oliver. 1,500 here. Little hockey action. Thank you guys for your great NHL content. The best. Check out my NHL lineup on FanDuel. Can you build a better team? And mind you, with the NBA All-Star break coming up, we got NHL tools and NHL strategy shows every day of the week. So stick around for that, even when NBA is not there. All right, Brendan for Buffalo, too. And another one. Well, Prize Picks. He's been crushing on Prize Picks. $10 in the 250 right there in a 6-picks flex play. And Bambo, $400. What is that? First place out of 25,000 there. Took down the fadeaway last night on FanDuel. How about a free month? A little aggressive, but yes, you will get it. We're men of our word. And the Ultimate Fight Show, awesome, great, awesome parlay hit for the Ultimate Fight Show. Want to thank the folks at Stokastic. 240 into over 3,000. Congrats to all of you. Remember, stokastic.com/avatar. Use that avatar wherever it is you play. Tweet your wins at Stokastic Hall of Fame. Get inducted into the Hall of Fame right here and win a free month.
God, that's gonna have my brain is already. Yeah, that's so
top
cool.
Secret information. It's top secret.
Oh, can't tell the people you have 600 lineups.
What is happening, everybody? Welcome to another Stokastic NBA Live Before Lock. If you want to troll me, today is the day to do it. As you come in, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Shout out to No House Advantage, who is the sponsor of today's show. And here's what I think we should do today, because yesterday I thought the Celtics were going to play some stupid rotations, and to an extent they did, but I was on the wrong end of which ways I thought it was going to be stupid. I realized once Robert Williams checked in, I was like, oh boy, I did not project the Celtics well at all. So here's what you guys should do. Troll me in the chat, and some of the ones that I think are funniest, I'll read out on the show as we go. Have at me. I deserve it today. Eric, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm excited. I get to go from Live Before Lock, hour and a half here, to PGA Live Before Lock. I'm going to be filling in for Jeff Ulrich on that. Used to be on this all the time. Going to be back with my buddy Ben talking PGA, talking Tiger Woods, you all. Excited for the Genesis. I'm probably going to be going to the tournament Sunday. Jordan Klein, see you there.
And right away, people coming in hot. Helms22 saying, boo, yeah. Greg, you suck that you're not perfect. I try my hardest, though. And
how dare you?
Yeah, MJ Hetling saying that I have to lock in Derek White now. Don't they? Well, so one thing that made this a little bit easier for today is that we got Jason Tatum back. So that's cool because there's not too much to worry about in terms of like total nonsense the Celtics could do. Like how they ended up playing Robert Williams 13 minutes yesterday. I don't even know how that was an outcome. Like, I don't even know how that was in the cards of things they were going to possibly do.
Oh, I said it was probably going to be something stupid. I mean, I didn't fade Derek White, so that was good. I didn't fade Malcolm Brogdon. That was good. I had less of them than I probably should have in hindsight. But yeah, the Peyton Pritchard thing, I don't know if I completely regret it. I truly think it was game script dependent. I think if they got down early, I think you would have seen the punt just kick in immediately. They played really, really well. Derek White, like, I think it was dependent upon how well they played and kept it competitive. If it got out of hand, I think we're just having a completely different conversation. So it's one of those difficult things in hindsight. It was obviously the most important game of the slate for multiple reasons. And sometimes you're going to look like an idiot. But Greg, you got to dare to suck, man. You got to dare to look like an absolute fucking idiot from time to time, because otherwise you're not doing your job correctly. That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah. Once a day, somebody looks Eric in the face and says that to him. But the other
usually
thing too,
it's you.
is the other thing too about the slate, which was mostly annoying to me also, is that my lineups were actually really good yesterday outside of the Peyton Pritchard thing.
Same.
Because so my line, like I didn't get crushed yesterday, even though I had 100% Peyton Pritchard. And I posted the screenshot of my lineups on Twitter towards yesterday. So like I didn't play an insane amount of volume yesterday, but I finished at like $430 in entry fees and I got back $380.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a good slate, but I didn't get destroyed either. What was annoying though is I had all of the nuts everywhere else. Like I had, because of all the Celtics I had a lot of correlation with the Bucks on the other side. So I ended up with like a lot of Giannis. I had a lot of
I had Suggs, and Jakob Poeltl was huge for me yesterday. Oh, it was beautiful.
So I had these lineups that scored like well over 300 points that had Peyton Pritchard in it, which was also just overall kind of annoying. But yeah, overall, once again, I deserve to be trolled. I didn't play Derek White yesterday, and I played some stupid Celtics guys like Peyton Pritchard. I mean, Blake Griffin was also an inherently stupid play. It just happened to be one that worked out. But I probably wouldn't have played him in hindsight if I knew that Robert Williams was going to be in the rotation. But,
do I sound different, Jordan? Oh. No, same exact mic. I just have like a different shading. It is darker. It's so I have the light pointed in a different direction so that my dog can sleep. He's just passed out. Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
So we've got a.
I do have lights so I ordered some lights and somebody stole my Amazon package. So that was cool. Off my front porch. The Amazon person left it on the front instead of coming up to the 4th floor and like dropping off my package. So those will never be seen again. That was fun.
And I don't need this. This is a tough one. Dennis Forg is saying Greg guesses Celtics rotations better than he chooses barbers. It's tough. It's tough. I'm not good at either. That's very funny. T. Creasy, which fade was better, Greg's haircut or Derek White? These are tough. These are tough. I don't even know how to discern between.
I mean, the haircut was pretty bad. I would still take the Derek White annihilation just for the sake of the fact it's not like you got murdered. I got murdered on Monday. I think I got like $80 back, and I had a lot more than $80 in play on Monday. So yesterday I was happy. It was basically break even with how much Pritchard I had. I'll take it.
Yeah, it was for me. The one that saved me was Blake Griffin, and once again, it was totally lucky because I thought I projected too. Robert Williams for 0 minutes, so I had so even that I was wrong on, but just got lucky. It was a terrible job on me. Absolutely.
All right, forward-looking show. We're gonna get to this slate because oh my god, do I got some takes? Is it Jose Alvarado round 2?
Could be. We've got a whole bunch of injury news. We've got super chats coming in. The news we got most recently is that Terry Rozier is not going to be playing tonight. That is going to make for pretty tricky for lineup construction, which is something that we are going to talk about after we answer some of these super chats, Eric, but also in terms of the injury report. Joel Embiid is questionable. LeBron James is questionable. Kyrie Irving is questionable. Lauri Markkanen is questionable. Jamal Murray is questionable. CJ McCollum is questionable. Aaron Gordon is questionable. Time Lord Robert Williams is questionable. Cool. Something where we have to deal with the Celtics to some extent. John Collins is questionable. And Christian Wood is questionable, as well as Larry Nance and Ricky Rubio. I'll kind of draw the cutoff there, but that's a lot of really, really key significant players. I know you'd mentioned the thing with CJ McCollum there, but to me, the one that is just impossible to is like the Dallas Denver game.
Yeah.
We might have a Luka versus Jokic game where they are the only star players on the teams.
Oh, if you watched Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks last night, you would have a plus 1,100 Luka Doncic to triple-double ticket. I said something felt a little fishy, felt a little strange, and I get it. I've been shorting Luka Doncic since Kyrie Irving showed up, but something about, I don't know. It was just one of those things going up against Nikola Jokic. Felt like a spot where there was some opportunity. It just seemed like a really big number to hang on Luka. Now it looks genius because you get late downgrade, the downgrade to probable down to questionable. I'm pretty sure Kyrie Irving's not playing basketball today. Are you on board with that?
I tend to think he's more likely to sit than play.
Same.
Downgrade to questionable and also it was really weird too because he was not on the injury report. And if I have the timing right, he was not on the injury report this morning. He gets added as probable at the 1:30 injury report, then downgraded to questionable at the 5:30 injury report. That's weird injury reporting.
Mm-hmm. It's a haughty party, baby.
Yeah, so I'm not going to say 100% he's out, but I think he's more likely to sit than play.
I'm with you. So what the hell do we do about it?
Panic. So the other thing that's really hard too in the context of this slate is I don't know how we ignore the Charlotte Hornets either. And this is where it gets really hard because the Hornets, without Terry Rozier in there, we have so much value on Charlotte. How much of it, Eric, are you willing to forego to save roster spots for later on in the night?
I mean, the nice thing is Dennis Smith Jr., I think if we get him starting 3,700 for him, you just kind of play him and don't think about it. You get 3 guard spots. Jose Alvarado, I'm building out into my lineups already, just because I think I'll be able to transition to whoever starts for Dallas. I'm assuming you get Jaden Hardy playing more minutes. Josh Green going to be a piece that we probably get to from there as well. And I just want to kind of get to some of those later pieces and kind of have them build in. But like with the price point that you have on Dennis Smith Jr. sub 4K, it gives me access to Jokic, gives me access to Doncic already. So like, I think he's pretty unfadeable sub 4K. It's so weird to say because it's not like he's a good fantasy producer, but he's better than you'd think. 0.86 fantasy point per minute guy. And seeing that news that he was going to be starting, I mean, that would instantly put him in like 28, 30 minute type category. That's pretty darn good. He's already routinely been playing 27-ish, 24, 25 minutes here in the last few games. So like, that's a difficult one to get away from. Gordon Hayward, my arch nemesis from Monday. That's for damn sure. Why not put up a 50 spot, my friend? He makes some sense to be still getting to some shares of, but like PJ Washington, Lamelo Ball, those are the main guys that you're keying in on, but they're a little bit more expensive, so they're not like priorities.
And we just had Robert Williams ruled out, so we'll talk about that in a second. Cool. And I do wonder also how much of the Robert Williams thing yesterday was actually in hindsight just because he wasn't healthy. In terms of what the minute, that might have just been what he was.
I projected him out for today because I was just like 14 minutes. I was like, maybe they're limiting him so he can play on both ends of the back-to-back, but it was Detroit they were playing on the back-to-back. So like, I bet Detroit today. It's really weird, but like, I was pretty positive Robert Williams wasn't going to play. They do get Jason Tatum and Al Horford fresh, so at least they can limit some of the minutes of the other pieces. They should still win pretty comfortably, but yeah, Robert Williams, not surprised that he's sitting.
Yeah, and once again, I just think he's probably not healthy.
I'm worried about him. I love
more than anything. I think it was, and you know, the All-Star break's coming up. It just seems like a good opportunity to get him some rest. Some super chats to get to, and then we'll talk about Robert Williams and how his absence is going to impact some of the big men for the Celtics. First super chat that we have here is from Jorge Giacomi. Is it Luka Day if Kyrie doesn't play? Yes, sir, it is.
I have a lot of Sir Luka. It is now a price point too. He's sub 12K. Christian Wood is in the doghouse beyond the doghouse. He's questionable himself. What else do they do other than just say, hey, Luka, go try to win us a basketball game?
Yeah, it's if Kyrie doesn't play, Luka should be projected as the highest player on the slate, unless we get from Denver Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray out for the Nuggets. Because if that's the case, then Jokic is right up there with Luka, which also makes it hard to bring this all together. Like, how much of Lamelo are you going to play? Because at least as of right now, I think he's the best pay-up option. But that would change for me if we get more news on Denver and on Dallas. So what are you going to do with Lamelo? Because part of me is just, well, if I run my lineups as is, he pops up in basically everything. So how much do I want to cap him to give myself flexibility?
Depends. For me, I'm getting to a lot more of the Luka and the Jokic side of it. Maybe the news came out early enough where I'm overthinking it a little bit and I need to play more LaMelo, but his positionality is my major issue. You're going to get Dennis Smith Jr. as a piece of value, Jose Alvarado, an opportunity for me to just run it back. I think I got pretty damn unlucky playing a 3,200 Jose Alvarado, who was only 25% owned, who I had 88% of on Monday. And you basically got a floor at 21, 22. You still need him to perform at that kind of a number. But if you get CJ McCollum sitting, I want to get to as much of him and Josh Richardson as I humanly possibly can. I'm not going to get as much because it is a 10-game slate with that Charlotte game present. Kind of a different circumstance from what we had last slate. That's the fun part about DFS. New slates every single day, different circumstances. But Lamelo Ball is difficult for me to get to at the field of right now. I've currently got just shy of 15% of him. I can't imagine I get to any more if the slate started now, knowing that I want to have some swappability.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now with no Terry Rozier, the matchup against the Spurs too, the pace of the game, the total 242, like nothing's even close to that. I'll play LaMelo.
Actually, been bet up to like 243.5 in some spots. It's pretty wild.
Play LaMelo in cash games. In tournaments, yes. I still like getting to LaMelo in tournaments, but I do also want to try to get myself to some lineups with Luka as well. Make sure that I have space for Luka. I mean, Hippopotamus, I had to sell my house because of you, Greg. Don't give me that 1-800-GAMBLER spiel. Just cut the crap and give me the best picks to win it all back today. First of all, Hippo, it lost his ass.
Man.
Eric, this is not you, Eric. This is the other Eric. He lives in a cardboard box behind a McDonald's. So in terms of like he lost his house, it was like recycling day. Somebody threw it out. It's not like this was a mass thing. But today we are going to take out a mortgage on your house.
No house disadvantage.
Yeah, exactly. No house advantage. It's an advantage to not have a house. That's the whole point of the show here. So it's good. You fit right in. And if you guys haven't signed up at No House Advantage, $100 bonus on your first deposit. It'll help go a long way towards getting a new house. Hippopotamus wants to know, though, who are the best picks of the day to win it all back? So if you were building lineups out right now, who are the players you'd have the most exposure to at each position?
I was going to say, please don't talk to like we're giving out picks. I hate that. That's not what it is. Like, I know we end up having stands, but it more of just is like how the puzzle comes together than it is like, I like so-and-so. Like, we'll say that from time to time, but it really just comes back to exposure for it. I like Zach Collins. Does that count? He's pretty unfadable, 5,100 against Charlotte in this matchup. No Mason Plumlee there. Yeah, he makes a lot of sense to get to. Mike Muscala now, you know for a fact that he's going to be out. You know that you're going to have no Robert Williams. I think we're going to be looking at somebody in that front court. I hope Blake Griffin doesn't start. Maybe we can get an Al Horford at the 5 kind of a situation. It's a weird one to throw out there for tournaments, but something that I'm actively thinking about and trying to work my way through. I like Jalen Green in OKC. I know that spread's pretty wild, but shooting guard eligibility, pretty valuable to me today, considering point guard between LaMelo, Alvarado, potentially, Dennis Smith Jr., Luka Doncic. A lot of those spots are going to be picked up for me. So getting to a guy at shooting guard who projects out that well for me, another important part.
So right now for me, in the initial build I've got my most rostered point guard is Dennis Smith Jr., shooting guard, Zach LaVine, small forward, Kelton Johnson, power forward, PJ Washington. Center would also be PJ Washington, but then behind him, like Zach Collins, Mark Williams, Vooch, and Nikola Jokic, all guys that I have about comparable at the center spot at the moment. And boy, do we have a lot of super chats. We got Ace of Spade, who wants to know who our favorite players are for each tier for DraftKings tiers. And today I anticipated this. I had a feeling he was going to ask this question.
Good for you. I didn't.
So I went ahead. I was a little bit proactive and I built out tiers lineups just in case our friend Ace of Spade came out here and asked us the question. So I'm going to read through these. Tier 1 is really tough because we have Jokic and Doncic in tier 1. I have Jokic right now, but I don't think you can go wrong with either of those guys. And so much of it's going to be dependent on what happens with the injuries, because if Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray are both out, like Jokic is going to be projected for 1 million fantasy points. Same for Luka if Kyrie is out. So my slight lean is towards Jokic right now, but you can't go wrong with either of those guys. In tier 2, I like LeBron. I tend to think he's going to play, and I think that questionable tag is going to lower his ownership. So tier 2, I'm going with LeBron James. Tier 3, Lamelo Ball's in tier 3. Just play Lamelo there.
Yeah.
Tier 4, Vooch. He's benefiting from the absence of DeMar DeRozan. I like getting to him there. Tier 5,
Love
Levine. Same as Vooch in the tier before. And then tier 6, I go with Şengün in that final tier. So ace of spade. Those are my favorite players across each tier tonight for the DK tiers contest. Super chat from H. Greg, you puppet-faced porcelain doll man. I forgive you. You've made me a lot of money over the years, and the logic was sound. Scared money don't make money. All right. I'll take it. Compliment and an insult all rolled into one. I dig it.
Those are
Thank you,
usually
H.
the best. Yeah, I'm
Appreciate
here for
the
all
super
Greg
chat.
shaming possible. That's cool.
Bring it
Anything
on.
to take the attention off me.
Bring it
That's
on.
cool.
James Hood, just sharing the love. Won 10K on FanDuel last night. I had
Let's
Derek
go.
White because he was an obvious smash play. Can't wait to still top notch. I love James Hood.
Again,
Appreciate the super chat.
A man must have a code if he stands for nothing.
That was a good one. I like the turn. Terry Rozier.
That was beautiful.
Terry Rozier officially. He was doubtful.
That was like a Kurt Vonnegut novel. I enjoyed it. Nice turn.
Love it, James. Thank you for the super chat. Daniel Campbell. Greg went full Brandon Katz. Never go full Brandon Katz.
These are great.
Then we got Shikari Mahfood here saying, what are your top picks for each position? We just rolled through them, but I'll bring it just in case you missed out. I went Dennis Smith Jr. at shooting guard, Dennis Smith Jr. at point guard, Zach LaVine at shooting guard, Kelton Johnson at small forward, PJ Washington at power forward. He also has center eligibility. So then I'll also say Zach Collins at center. If you had to pick one guy each position for our friend here, who are you going with?
For tournaments?
Yeah.
Point guard, Luka Doncic. Shooting guard, I'm torn between Zach LaVine and Jalen Green. I'll say Jalen Green so you have some kind of money to save there. At small forward, Gordon Hayward now for sure. Power forward, yeah, it's amazing what a day will do, and also a better matchup. But PJ Washington now at power forward for sure. And center Zach Collins. I'll just take the chalk across the top there.
One thing that is kind of nice is that at least in some of the games, if you're going heavy with some of the Hornets Spurs chalk, you could build game stacks out there that I don't think people have a ton of in that kind of sense, where you're just giving yourself massive upside. If this game actually plays to the total or even goes to overtime or exceeds it, I mean, just stacks of this game are going to smash.
Yeah. Yep. And again, like, this is an interesting spot because it's like Jose Alvarado is still a guy that I'm getting, but like for me, it's all about the ownership discount that I'm getting off of him, or that I'm getting going to him. But like if CJ McCollum goes, then you're just dead. And it's not like I'm going to pass up Dennis Smith Jr. at an identical tag. So it's more of like the addition, playing both of them, getting to more Jokic, getting to more Luka, just so I have some of that late swap ability. Hopefully that news breaks before 9 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. out on the West Coast here. We can kind of do something about it there, but I am pretty darn sure that Charlotte San Antonio is a game you want to be invested in.
Yeah, and it's something you and I talk about a lot. When there's a lot of players on the injury report, we usually try to go lighter on the first game of slate. I honestly don't think you do that today.
No, there's value and there's pace. There's upside with LaMelo, like raw ceiling. There's also salary savings. You get the Mark Williams, the Zach Collinses at the center spots. Like it's just kind of a gold mine now that Terry Rozier is officially out.
And some more super chats coming in here. This one is Mr. Coolcam 97. I'm looking to pay up for Luka and SGA. Best pay down at center on FanDuel. By the way, I'm not paying up a ton for SGA today, just because there are so many good guard options that I'm finding it a little hard to prioritize SGA. I mean, I guess he does look better on FanDuel than
he
does
never
on
looks good to me in tournaments. I think I've talked about this before, but one of my big issues with SGA with these kind of tags is that it's just so hard for him to run into double doubles compared to other studs. When you're playing DraftKings and you're looking at these raw ceilings and you're just going across the board and looking at who am I spending up with? Like LaMelo Ball, his ability to rack up assists, pretty live there for a double-double. Jokic is averaging a triple-double. Luka Doncic without Kyrie Irving, I find him hard pressed not to be somebody who is even money or better to double. Like when you start playing somebody like SGA, how many double doubles do you think he has this season?
I'll also say that this is a FanDuel question where the double-double kind of becomes less
relevant. Shit.
But
good talk. Glad we had it. I just pulled a Greg.
If I had to guess, I don't know, 4?
Yeah, he's better on FanDuel. It's cool.
Like I said, he's better on FanDuel, but he's still not a priority. He's
still not a priority, no.
Rudy Gay will not play. Was there?
There was no Markkanen. Of course, there was no Markkanen. Why would we get Markkanen?
So we just got news. So we've got a bunch of it just dropped at once. So
yep, go ahead. Read it
off. DeAndre Hunter is in. Ricky Rubio is out. And Chetty Osman is out. I can't, with the amount of value on the slate, I can't imagine I want to get to players off the bench for the Cavs now, though.
No.
Would have mattered on a different slate.
Yeah, this ain't that slate.
Yeah, not gonna change.
What are we gonna do? Play Isaac Okoro? Like,
yeah, it's not
no thanks.
It's not going to be relevant for today. Utah won. Same, like Rudy Gay individually doesn't change that much, but if Markkanen is out in addition to Rudy Gay, there are just only so many guys they have to give minutes to.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
We need that Markkanen update though.
Yep, we do.
Duke wants to get in on the action.
Yeah, Duke wanted to come hang out. He just going back and forth. There's some hammering going on outside, so he's a little scared.
Ask him what the Celtics rotation is going to be today.
Duke, what's the Celtics rotation today, buddy? Come here. You're okay. You're okay. Say hi to everybody. You're okay. There he is.
He gets bigger. Like he's gonna.
He's gigantic.
Yeah, he's by the time like a year from now we have him on shows. He's gonna be like 600 pounds and he's gonna look like a bodybuilder.
Yep, he's just a monster. He's scared. Yeah, somebody started hammering. You're okay. I got to go to work though. Okay, love you, buddy. There you go.
See you, buddy.
Such a good dude.
By the way, the other part of his question: best pay down center on FanDuel. Depends what price point you're talking about, right? If you're just talking about like the mid-ish range, then I think it's Mark Williams at 5,700. He's also really popular. If you want to go cheap, like a punt, Charles, I think Charles Bassey is in play on FanDuel min price.
Charles Bassey probably, but yeah. Let's go to the boom bust tool. That's going to be, again, that's usually how I default to getting to some of these punts, but yeah, he's okay.
And it depends what the price point is.
Right. I mean, he's just a dude if you're building a ton of lineups that I would get to like a tiny bit of.
So my answer there is going to be Mark Williams in general. If you need to go cheaper than Bassey, if it has to be like if by cheap you mean a punt, then it would be Bassey. The next question that we have here is from Ben Anthony. Eric, go buy a coffee with this. Your picks are fire. Look at that.
Thank you. It's been pretty outrageous the last 3 or 4 weeks, but a lot of it is informed from NBA Bet Pro. A lot of it's informed by OddsShopper, putting my own take on things for sure, but definitely those are the keys. If you want to be profitable at NBA sports betting, head to NBA Bet Pro, sign up for that in the video description box below because Sean's on is just outrageous. This color coding too, being able to react to the injury news and know exactly what you're going to be betting in real time. Pretty incredible stuff. They have great stuff as well for prize picks, no house advantage. You want to be signed up and playing over with NBA Bet Pro, taking advantage of it in the sports streets.
Yeah, and we could look at that right now because we got a super chat here from B Platinum 23. He wants to know what is the top prop play.
What the hell?
Picks. So what?
Look at the Indiana starting lineup. What?
Halliburton, McConnell, Hield, Nesmith, Turner. So Halliburton and McConnell in the backcourt together.
McConnell's starting though.
Yeah, I know. It's not what they normally do.
But thank you, Greg. Glad you're here. This is fun. We're having fun.
Starting
Derek White.
Starting lineup for the Hornets as well is Ball, Smith, Hayward, Washington, Williams. So what we were expecting, they had said earlier in the day, once Rozier was dealing with the hand injury, that if he was not going to play, that it was going to be Dennis Smith Jr. starting in his place. And then we just got the Spurs lineup. Branham, Johnson, Bates, Jop, Sokan, and Collins. Let's wrap up these super chats, and then we'll talk about the Pacers starting lineup, because the question that we got here, which once again goes right into Eric was talking about NBA Bet Break. You get 1 week free trial by clicking on the link below. And BT Platinum wants to know who is our favorite picks over for prize picks. So we have a lot of them that project out well for Utah right now, but also keep in mind that we have Lauri Markkanen questionable, so that could change some stuff. Any prize picks props that you really like a lot today, Eric?
Yes. There's definitely some looking at no house advantage, so again, they're asking BP stuff. So there was earlier the opportunity to get 53.5 fantasy score for Luka Doncic. That's gone, but 29.5 fantasy score for Jonas Valanciunas. This could be the smash of all smashes if you get Larry Nance out. Once again, midday downgrade for Larry Nance Jr. I think he's more unlikely he's more likely to not play basketball here today. 5,800 over on DK today as well. So if you want to be looking at it from a DFS perspective, I do like him as a contrarian center play, but I am just playing tons of this across the board now over on Prize Picks. If you don't have CJ McCollum out there, and if you don't have Larry Nance out there, it's that same thing where I just find it difficult for them to keep Jonas Valanciunas off the floor in that spot. So I have him currently projected. If you take Larry Nance out, I've got him north of 35 fantasy points. He would be the absolute smash of all smashes.
This is going to correlate with that one, and it's something that I actually bet earlier in the day. Trey Murphy over 3.5 rebounds. So we have him projected for 4.6 right now, but also if McCollum is out, that's more minutes for Trey Murphy, also more opportunity. But if Larry Nance is out, another thing, just more rebounding opportunities for Trey Murphy, plus correlates with the one that you liked right there. So that's what I like for over 3.5. And also I will shout out no house advantage. Our current top projected prop over on NHA right now is under 7.5 assists for Darius Garland if we ignore some of the injury situation. So that is one that we've winning 61% of the time, under 7.5 assists for Darius Garland. All right, we got more goofballs today. Today we've got this situation with the Indiana Pacers. Unexpected starting lineup, just like yesterday, around this same time, we got the unexpected starting lineup for the Boston Celtics. Today, though, we got TJ McConnell starting alongside Tyrese Haliburton. Haven't seen that play out this year. What do you make of him starting? And I have no clue what his price point is. I haven't thought about him once today.
Nope, haven't thought about him single time. He is 4,700. He was projected for 17 minutes. Now I project him for more than 17 minutes, but is he going to play 27 like he played off the bench against Miami? I don't know. Is he going to play 29, 30-ish like you would expect? Is he going to automatically jump in and play like the Nembhard type role here, 24 minutes? There's a pretty wide range of outcomes, I think, for what these minutes could be. 20 to 28, nothing in there would shock me.
I think he plays like the Nembhard role and we get like 26 to 28 minutes out of TJ McConnell. That's what I'm
really thinking. Good at a fantasy point per minute.
Although what is his, so let me look at this, because we don't see a lot of, I'm going to play some of TJ McConnell for sure, but what is his points per minute rate when he plays alongside Haliburton? I think that's relevant because we don't see him play alongside. So I want to look at it right now. If I put these two on the court together.
So people didn't like that I got excited. I just saw TJ McConnell and my brain just exploded that he was in the starting lineup with Haliburton. I don't think they've started a single game together this season.
I don't either, but I'm sure they've shared the court, and I want to see. All right, here we go. So it's a small sample size, though. They've shared the court for 190 minutes together, and McConnell's been terrible in those minutes.
Yeah.
He has a 14% usage rate and scores
0.83 fantasy points per minute in those minutes.
Yeah. Not the point per minute we usually get out of McConnell.
No, but you could expect that alongside Haliburton. But if he plays 28 minutes at 0.8, he's at least in the realm of playable there. 4,700. Again, it's probably just somebody that should long-term produce a little bit better. This is also Chicago. It's not the most appealing matchup. It's tough for me to really want to carve out anything sizable for it. For me, what would really suck is TJ McConnell gets it going and they give him 30 minutes of run. Again, it could be a hot hand type approach there. Maybe they just want to test it out because, again, why not? Right before the break, your last game. Yeah, there's a wide range of outcomes for what it could be. I'm going to just leave him at 26 minutes so that I get to a tiny bit, but nothing crazy.
I'm going to play him.
Yeah, I am too, but just a tiny bit. I'm not going to carve way for him the way that, like, I think Alvarado would be somebody that if you knew CJ McCollum wasn't playing right now, I would have a hefty share of the same way Dennis Smith Jr. does.
Is there anybody else this impacts? Like, is there a situation where we look at this and we think that anybody else potentially plays more minutes off the bench because of a potential change in the rotation here?
I mean, Matherin has been good already. You should already be playing him a little bit. 4,800, been playing low 30s minutes. I mean, I guess for me, it's just a question of like Nembhard. How many minutes does he even play now? Like, he played. I mean, those were times where he wasn't starting in between at the end of January before Halliburton got back. But I mean, Matherin, you should already have some interest in. I don't think it changes a ton for him. I'm really not sure, to be honest.
Fair. No,
not going to act like I know.
It's not an easy. By the way, so I ended up with 26 fantasy points for TJ McConnell.
That's perfectly fair. So you have him like what, 28 minutes, 29 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I put him at 26, so I'm barely getting to him right now, but I'll put him up to 28 and see what happens.
Yeah, because I want to make sure I get to. It's always tricky with some of these scenarios because I want to make sure I get to some of him without him being somebody who's like massively important for me at this point, because it's a really weird situation. I think it's kind of hard to predict for. And like you, I don't have a super strong take on it other than just I want to get some exposure to him now.
Yeah, it feels like a spot where, again, we get the projection on the number, but you have to think about range of outcomes. Like, I think it would be foolish to project him for less than 26 minutes. Like, I think 26 is kind of like the number. If he's going from playing 17, 18 minutes a game, 20 minutes a game to like a starting role where you get those first 4 to 6 minutes in the rotation there, I think it'd be foolish to project him for less than that. But like, there's an opportunity for a lot more or a lot less on both ends of it there. So we'll see what other people kind of decide to do with him. We just know that he can be a fantastic fantasy producer, even though it's been a very small sample size, hasn't been very good. I'm going to pull up last year when did they play a little bit together last year at some point towards the tail end of the season after the trade?
Check it out. I don't.
I'm gonna look it up. Keep going. Let's answer the other questions. I'll try to find something on that.
The other super chats we have, and there are a bunch of them. This is from here we go. Johnny Bravo. It's actually J Bravo 99. I assume it's Johnny Bravo though. Greg, I also didn't win too much on FanDuel last night, but I slept better knowing I didn't do something stupid such as fade Derek White or locking Peyton Pritchard. Whatever I could do to help you guys sleep better at night, I love to hear it. Johnny Bravo, I love your hair as well.
That was fantastic.
Jorge Giacomi. Which guys would be willing to have in half or more of your lineups today? And then also is Eric projected for the PGA tournament? Eric is for this weekend. I'm projecting Eric to make the cut, and I think a T10 is in his future. Eric's playing golf this weekend. 220.
I am playing golf this weekend on Saturday. We're going to go win a 2-man tournament at Soul Park in Ojai, California. But 0.9 fantasy points per minute. TJ McConnell, 225 minutes together last year. Tyrese Halliburton and TJ McConnell. So a little bit better. But I mean, I'm thinking that that's a little bit more in line. You combine the two, 0.88 fantasy points per minute for McConnell. I think that's about right, playing next to Halliburton. And I'm assuming we'll also get some minutes where they don't share the floor.
This is true as well. Even so, by the way, it is just kind of because we're so loaded at point guard, it does make it a little hard to get to McConnell.
I say it's a slate where you have Dennis Smith Jr. starting. You have for $1,000 less. You have Jose Alvarado, who could also be awesome for value. You have Lamelo Ball. You have Luka Doncic for ceilings. Like, come on, it's a stacked position at the moment. John Morant, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Both of them high ceiling options for any given matchup. Like, it's a tough position to figure out today.
Yeah, I got 10% of TJ McConnell.
I got 7 in my first run. So there you go.
Some more super chats coming in. Oh, I forgot. Jorge's question, the first half. So yeah, I think Eric projects well for PGA this weekend. And then who would we be willing to have in more than half of our lineups? For me, Dennis Smith Jr., Lamelo Ball.
I mean,
PJ
who I am
Washington.
going to have and who I would be willing to have are probably two different things. Zach Collins would be another.
Yeah. So for me right now, it's Zach Collins, PJ Washington, Lamelo Ball, and Dennis Smith Jr.
Perfect.
The next question is from H. Thoughts on Griffin possibly starting again with no Williams?
Don't care today.
So Al Horford's back today.
Yep.
Al Horford's back. Don't forget that.
Even if he starts, though, 24 minutes of Blake Griffin today, not nearly as important as 24 minutes of Blake Griffin yesterday.
And then are we playing Marcus Smart with no minutes limit? No.
We are not playing Marcus Smart.
Adi Balogun is
actually no. I thought about it. So again, that's another random thing where Boston just did some weird crap, and all of a sudden, Marcus Smart's playing and whatever else. But like, if you got to a couple percent of Marcus Smart, I wouldn't besmirch you.
Not like it's always hard because I assume when a lot of people ask these questions, they mean for like one lineup or two lineups or something like that.
True. So yeah, don't do him in that scenario.
Yeah, so like Marcus Smart, to me, if you're just playing a handful of lineups, don't need to get to him. Adi Balogun, Isaiah Jackson, 20% optimal on FanDuel. Thoughts? Should I scratch him for my lineups today, like Derek White? But seriously, it's 20% too much. 20% of Isaiah Jackson's a little much for me.
It's a lot. Watch him do that Drummond thing from the other night.
Yeah, let's see. So the Pacers, and the other thing too is, so we got that really good game out of Isaiah Jackson the other day. Don't forget though, Miles Turner is back now.
Yep, I hated my life. Why couldn't he just start? Oh, totally such is life. Yep,
totally different. Miles Turner back. Next question is from Chris Albers. Just got off work. What are your favorite plays position by position? Anything I must know about? Yes, so nothing has changed too much for me. I mean, we got TJ McConnell's in my lineups now, and looking at the position by position, Dennis Smith Jr., shooting guard, I like Zach LaVine, small forward, Kelton Johnson, power forward, PJ Washington, center, PJ Washington, Zach Collins, Mark Williams there as well. Just to reiterate, because some people weren't watching at the top there, Eric, who are your most rostered guys position by position?
Right now, Dennis Smith Jr. at point guard. I've got THT preloaded just in case we get the Lauri Markkanen news. I will change that out if that is not the case. Of course, Gordon Hayward at small forward, Keldon Johnson pretty close there, PJ Washington at power forward, and Zach Collins at center.
There we go. There you have it. The next question here is from, guys, really loading up on the super chats there. We appreciate it a whole bunch. And anybody that also hasn't done this, another way you could help us out is by liking the video and subscribing to the YouTube channel. And we just got a non-update update. Lauri Markkanen is a game time decision. So boo.
A non-update update. That sounds like the NBA.
A non-update update.
Also, how much Jordan Clarkson do you want? Because Jordan Clarkson's probably my favorite tournament play on the slate, period, end of story right now. He's sub 10%. I would want as much of him at shooting guard as humanly possible. THT, it's a little bit easier to kind of fit him into lineups, but he's garnering so much ownership that, like, again, preloading him into lineups, I think everybody's going to have him. I don't think as many people are going to have Jordan Clarkson, and I think he becomes my favorite guy to get to.
I don't have a ton right now. I get what you're saying. It's just horrible. I can't play everybody, and it's annoying.
I know. Shooting guard, it's like him and Jalen Green are right around that same spot. So I already kind of had a game plan in place where, like, if I get that news, I can at least turn some of that Houston that I have more Jalen Green just jammed up at shooting guard, and I'll turn it into some Jordan Clarkson. It's only $100 more to get there, but just wanted to throw it out there because who else scores the basketball? It's a tough matchup going up against Memphis, but for the most part, you're still going to see pace. They're fifth in terms of pace on the season. Memphis is 101.3 possessions per 48. Like, I think it's a really good spot to invest in Clarkson.
Let me upload these lineups. Probably about time to consider doing that. And by the way, our tools over on the site, guys, 50% off anything that you're signing up for the first time, and use the link below. Any package on the site, 50% off when you sign up using the link. We've got our player projections, ownership projections, our new lineup generator package. If you're somebody who, like before, we got a super chat, somebody said they were running short on time, weren't able to watch the top of the show, if you're somebody who's in that kind of situation, you're driving home from work, you want to know the fastest way to get lineups built for you, our NBA lineup generator. It's got all of our data and tools in it. It's updated in real time, and it's less than $10 when you sign up. Plus, you get that 50% off, just a few dollars to try it out. I highly, highly recommend that as one of the new tools we have over on the site. The super chat that we have next to get to is from RADM. If past night's experience have taught me anything, after what Eric just said, Isaac Okoro is scoring a triple-double tonight.
Wait, what did I say last night? I've done this before, but like, that's the nature of the business, baby. Like, you're going to say stuff that makes you look like an idiot in hindsight because I'm exposing all of my plays. And plus sports, we're looking at, Stokastic, we're looking at range of outcomes. We are trying to help you predict the unpredictable, my friends. You're going to look like an idiot more times than not when you make strong stands on certain things because stuff will go wrong and people only remember the wrongs. They remember them a lot more than they remember the rights. But what the hell did I say yesterday?
No. Earlier in the show, you said you weren't going to play Isaac Okoro.
Oh, I did say that. Yeah, no, he's a terrible fantasy point per minute guy. So I hope he enjoys his first career triple-double.
Yeah, there we go. And Eric is, like he says, we are familiar with exposing ourselves around here. And it's one of many reasons that Eric is not allowed within 200 yards of the school.
It's not true, future employers. Not true.
100% true. Hef Love, you feel as if CJ McCollum is sitting. That's 50-50 to me.
Pretty 50-50, but again, it's a good one to know that, like, if you have some ability to preload some Josh Richardson and some Jose Alvarado, one of the two worked out very nicely for me the other night. The other one did not, even though he had a fire. I hate the fire emoji next to the name when you know that's the player that ruined your night. It's like, he takes up a lineup spot still. Whatever.
Swaz, I know most of the time the move is to not stack the early games because of the news availability, but how are you dealing with a day like today? I have a lot of exposure.
I have a lot. And also Lamelo Ball, I'm getting a lot of too. I don't have 51% like the field, but I have close to that.
Yeah, again, to a whole ton of Lamelo Ball. Some more super chats. We have, this one is from Robert Cremutula. Top 5 for FanDuel cash. So FanDuel cash games, I think you want to be playing a lot of the first game on the slate.
Yes, you do.
Looking through some of the players that are projected most optimally for us, I think you want to get to Lamelo Ball. I think you want to play Gordon Hayward. I think you want to play Zach LaVine. I think you want to play Mark Williams and PJ Washington.
Yes, you do.
And by the way, Dennis Smith Jr. would be another one, but he's a little bit different looking on FanDuel than DraftKings. FanDuel, he's $4,900. So I would prioritize for a FanDuel cash game. PJ Washington, Mark Williams, LaMelo Ball, and Gordon Hayward will all be higher priorities for me than Dennis Smith Jr. at $4,900.
You're always right, Thicky. Don't let him get you, bro. Ryan Houston, you got it. The thirsty talk, my friend. I understand. I got them baby blues. I get that you like to look into those for 90 minutes a day, but that's all you get. My Lord.
Ben Anthony, what are we thinking if James Wiseman starts? They've said they're going to start him. I don't know. I'm not rostering him today.
Oh God, I have so much Houston, like Pelicans in Utah, and I mean, you should just be by your computer today. This is just going to get weird.
If he starts and there's no kind of minutes restriction, I'll have some interest in large field tournaments. It's not enough to prioritize them. Nicholas Barrett, McConnell, or Mathurin for a DK GPP single entry. I prefer Mathurin. Teddy Wayman, Kelly Olynyk over under 19.5 PRA. I'm pretty sure I like the over on that, especially if Markkanen sits.
Yeah, so I have over on some sites, I have some preloaded cards where I have the click of a button. Jonas Valanciunas wrapped up with just about everything there too. Would like to get official word on a lot of things, but I'm assuming I'll just kind of like piece together throughout the night, have like, instead of just like insta click, it's not like I'm going to get the news all at once, but I would like to at least make some educated guesses. Plus, if you got downgraded during the day to questionable and you don't play again for a week, I'm pretty sure you're not playing basketball today, because it would be pretty unnecessary to throw that out there unless it was like a very serious consideration.
And then Darren Anderson, 3 straight 50 fantasy point Brunson, good pivot off of ball chalk. If I'm pivoting off of LaMelo Ball, it's to Luka. It's not to Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, and I like Jalen Brunson more than just about anybody from an offensive perspective. He's a complete nothing defensively, but I love Jalen Brunson props. I do not love Jalen Brunson in DFS. Just doesn't have that extra ceiling. Kind of speaks towards what I was talking about with SGA a little bit too. Just double on DK. Pretty difficult to accomplish. Pretty easy for guys above him on a slate with tons of salary relief to do it.
Let's bang out some of these questions in Discord really quick. A few minutes left, and then we're going to be heading into lock. Jets World. Who do you think comes off the bench first if neither starts? Blake Griffin or Lou Cornette? Don't sweat it and don't play either today.
Don't do it. Again, yesterday, just throw it out the window. Today is a different day, baby.
The next one is from Lippy. So Eric Johnson here is asking us thoughts on Vooch on DK. Yeah, I like Vooch.
Love Vooch. Love Vooch. Love Levine.
Ernie P, most from any team, 4 for me.
Yeah, I had 3 for me.
Yeah. 4. I was okay with 4 because some of the Hornets guys are so cheap.
Yeah,
I thought it was okay.
There's just too many good spots. You could have crazy Utah value. You could have tons of Pelicans. You could want to get to every share of Brandon Ingram you could possibly get to later on in the night, depending on when that news drops. Like, there's just so many good spots that it's hard for me to just pick one. You're gonna want to get to 3. I think 3 max.
JEW favorite forward 3,700 and under on DK. 3,700 and under.
What's Richardson at if there's going to be no... Richardson played a ton, and I know it might have been a little bit of foulish. Oh, no, he's 3,900 over on DK. 3,700.
Jay Sean Tate.
Not today. I had a little bit of Tate the other night. Dallas. Let me look at this quick. Hardy is only
Jay Sean Tate projects decently for me over 20 fantasy points. And it's just, he's also in a spot where he starts so late that if other players get rolled out, he's going to be easy to flip to other players. Like, I'm okay with him. And I like him being somebody who starts at 8 p.m. Eastern time, where it's the third to last start time of the entire slate. If other players get rolled out, it's going to be really easy to flip him into something else. And it's not the end of the world if I'm stuck on him. Yeah.
I mean, we're going to get Reggie Bullock playing a bajillion minutes there. He's 4,200. Yeah, I'm going to go with that one with you too, but I don't love it.
Big Dream. How do we play this so we're not screwed when Kyrie is in and Jamal and Gordon both play? If you have exposure to Luka or Jokic, like if you have Luka with Kyrie in, it's not the end of you're not screwed if Kyrie plays.
Yeah.
If Jamal Murray plays, like, Jokic isn't screwed. He's not as good of a play, but I'm not sitting there going like I'm ruined.
I mean, I usually want to whine and bitch about something, so I probably will.
Yeah, well, you can do what Eric does. So to me, I would just say I think your lineups are still live, or you can do what Eric does and you just complain about it, and that's another way to approach going about it. Ernie P, 33% PJ Washington seems gross. Well, I'm playing him.
I am too. 28% is how much I got to. If you care.
Dream $, hearing from at Ehrenberg Greg, I have 100% of Peyton Pritchard. That is me. That is not good. Yeah, Kovan Veli is who is our favorite sneak play for under 4K on DK?
Josh Richardson.
Sneak play. It's I agree with Richardson, but it's also tough because it's somebody. The answer is going to be somebody I'm not playing right now. Right? It's going to be somebody that's going to be based on injury news, somebody getting ruled out.
THT, like same thing.
Yeah. Although is he below?
But he's really popular. I'm saying he said sneaky. So you have Josh Richardson. 4K. I'll say the other one, Jaden Hardy. Nobody is going to play Jaden Hardy today. He's 3,400 for Dallas. You could be looking at him playing a ton of minutes sub 4K.
Kareem asked us any love for Şengün. Not tonight. In general, I love Şengün, but just there's too many good centers.
Yep.
And then Big Dream wants to know, can you suggest a few props if Laurie gets ruled out? Yes, we can. We'll be doing that in the post-lock show, which is starting right now because we are at lock. If you guys haven't done yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. What Eric and I are about to do is about to pull up NBA Bet Pro. We're going to look for some other props that we like for today. We'll be looking at some of the NHA props against the house that they have, but also just in general, like how we could react to some of these injury news because there are still so many players that are on the injury report. And this is going to create some additional DFS and also betting value. This is going to create some other props that we could potentially like for today. And the Laurie Markkinen situation could be one of them. So what Big Dream wants to know is what props would we like if Lauri Markkanen is ruled out? Which players should we be focusing on in that scenario?
Over on No House Advantage?
Well, it's a lot of it's going to be generalities, but yeah, we could look at the NHA ones as a guideline.
Yeah, I kind of want to do that. Let's go over to versus the house here. I'm seeing what they have from Utah available here. Doing this
Clarkson,
in real.
over under 24 and a half points.
My God, give me more than that if there is no Lauri Markkanen. Again, this is a stout defensive unit, but the pace of the game, the opportunity, I understand it's already like a double-digit spread, but like I think that's kind of baked in with Lauri Markkanen being out. It's kind of like straddling the middle. I think it extends to double digits if he's there. And then on the other side of that, I definitely think 24 and a half, that's just way too low.
If I had to take a side, I would take the over, but I'm not saying it would be like an auto
with Markkanen out.
Yeah, it's still though, it's a road game in Memphis. Memphis is such a good defense. I would take the over. It's not something to be like, this is a no doubter. What else looks good here? Huh? Is your wife home?
How was the wife walking in?
Look.
There we go.
No, I know.
Everybody be nice. Now I got to be nice. Yeah, that's fine.
Some other ones. We've got James Harden under 20.5 points projected fairly well today. Assuming that Joel Embiid does in fact end up playing, I like the under on that. I've noticed a lot of Harden props have started to get a little bit inflated lately because books are also assuming there's a chance that Embiid sits, and then he always ends up playing.
Very true. What did that PJ Tucker? He's available to play. Embiid available to play. Yeah.
There we go.
And we got the normal starting lineup from the new normal starting lineup from the Nets. That's fine. Same thing for Miami. Cool. Everything's normal so far. The TJ McConnell thing is still so weird to me.
So under 20.5 for James Harden, by the way, now that Embiid's confirmed.
Yep,
It's
with
such a slow paced game.
I'm with that. I only got 4% TJ McConnell in the end of it. So many good places to go, so little time.
And what was my? I mean, it was really hard to get to a lot of the. There were so many guys I wanted to play today, and you just couldn't play all of them.
Yep.
Especially because I wanted to make sure I ended up with 15% Luka, 30% Jokic. Be able to change some of those into other guys later on in the night, potentially depending what happens with injury news. But like, I didn't want to be in a scenario where Kyrie gets ruled out and I couldn't get to Luka. I didn't want to be a scenario where Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon are ruled out and I don't get to Jokic. So I just preloaded some of them in, and I've got them in there in case the injury news breaks our way. And then, like the question that we got in chat, if it so happens to be that I'm playing Jokic and Murray and Gordon are both playing, there's still a ceiling for Jokic. It's not the end of the world. Super chat here from Sir Ruin of House Roundhead. Don't smash too hard in XFL fantasy this weekend. You could win $100K in that on DK. Love your NBA commentary, but curious if you will do XFL.
I'm going to play it.
I probably won't.
It's weird because it's my one day that I have off, my Saturday, and it's like, am I going to devote it to XFL? I don't know.
I get that DraftKings loves to put up the contests that are $100,000 to first place. I don't know how much I'm willing to play a $15 tournament where I know absolutely nothing about the players, where a third of the prize pool is paid out to first place.
I mean, have you heard of correlation and projections? We can do that. Let's fire it up. My thing is that I hope that it maintains. Like, I hope that there's some interest in it. More than likely, it's going to wane away. That's what happened last time around. It didn't fill. Everything was kind of problematic. XFL was towards the end of it. But
isn't it the USFL that you're thinking?
USFL, that was it. Yeah. XFL, I bet probably maintains some decent following. I'm sure we'll have something going. I'll be paying close attention. That's for sure.
Dude, this isn't really a comment on the Derek White situation, but I thought it was funny, so I'll read it off anyway. Greg needs a dog, but he looks more like a ferret kind of guy. That's funny. I don't know exactly why it is, but I do really enjoy it. It made me laugh.
Lauri Markkanen ruled out.
All right, let's talk about the Utah.
I'm happy
Jazz.
that I built them in already because I don't have to do a whole hell of a lot. I have Lauri Markkanen out. Jordan Clarkson, I already was getting 34% of with everybody out there. Walker Kessler at 5,900 is just another great center. Him and Jonas Valanciunas going to be a big part of my tournament slate. Kelly Olynyk, the absolute nutties, 5,100 for him. I have him projected for north of 34. Taylor Horton Tucker have him projected north of 29. I mean, these are just going to be smash plays. Collinston, I'm having a tough time with. I think we just play him. Hello? Greg Ehrenberg gone? Oh, no! He's gone. All right. Well, it's me talking you through some of these scenarios. Hit the like button, please. I'll start singing to get Greg back. Oh, there he is.
So I was really confused. I didn't know if I died. I didn't know if you died. I didn't know if the stream died because I was able to hear you. You said hello, and I tried to say hello back, and I have no clue if you heard me.
Greg? Do you want to build a snowman? That was Frozen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm unfortunately because unlike you, I don't really spend my time around minors. I'm not that familiar with children's movies and whatnot. I mean, there's all different kinds of techniques. There used to be the candy in the car.
Jordan Klein he almost walked away. He almost left.
Because I know Jordan's the same as me. You had no clue what that song was either, right, Jordan?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
If Eric could break out in like Wiggles music if you needed to.
No, I don't think I got that one in the old repertoire, but everything else.
I can't believe they didn't ask you to audition for the Wiggles.
That's wiggle, wiggle.
It's massive. I could see you singing some like Fruit Salad or whatever their other dumb songs are.
Oh, okay.
What are we doing with the Utah Jazz here? Because we kind of cut out there. So the last thing I heard you say is there was somebody you said you were having a hard time get to. And and then we disappeared.
Oh no, it changed completely. I have tons of Colin Sexton. You can play him at shooting guard too. Sexton, okay. Clarkson, Kessler, Olynyk, THT. He's dynamite. All of them.
Yeah,
I have a lot of them. There's so many good plays on this slate. It's just wild. I'm glad that I at least preloaded quite a bit of each one of these guys. I mean, Kelly Olynyk, what an absolute smash now.
Yeah, I don't think there's one guy who, and maybe I'll be wrong after I rerun this. I don't think there's one guy that becomes like the predominant go-to guy for me from Utah. It's just I get to like some of a bunch of these guys, whereas I wouldn't have played them if Markkanen was in.
Clarkson, I projected for 39.5 fantasy points. I get a lot of him.
That seems. What are his numbers this year with Markkanen off the court? Do you have this in front of you? If not, I'll pull it up.
Yeah, I just had it in front of me, and then I moved over to Dallas. So give me 1 second. Just going back to it.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Cool.
So the Utah Jazz, when we take Lauri Markkanen off the court, and then also something that could be relevant for like Taylor Horton Tucker being viable, Rudy Gay being out does matter from a minutes perspective for THT now that we also have that.
Yep.
But Clarkson,
and he's a good fantasy producer.
Your projection on Clarkson, not that absurd. Yeah, I mean, he's per 36 minutes, Clarkson scores 39 fantasy points per 36 without Markkanen on the court.
Yep. 39.5 is where I had him at. I put him in for 36 minutes.
Yeah, I'll be below that because of the matchup, but yeah, no, again, at the price point, he's worth getting to for sure.
Yeah, it's just wild how much to get to him there. Olynyk, yeah, that's the other guy that's just power forward eligible. Like, just give me all of that you got.
Are there any weird punts you're willing to take a chance on now?
I thought about Agbaji for like 2 seconds, and then I realized that I don't hate myself, so I'm not going to do that. Oh, we just updated. So we have Clarkson projected higher than I did. So there you go. If you wanted to talk through that.
No, like I said, after I looked at the on-off court numbers, I don't think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it was just one of those things where I transferred it over and it just became pretty instant to get to Jordan Clarkson. Go ahead.
Let's pull that up if you wouldn't mind, Jordan. Could you pull up our Utah Jazz projections on screen to show the people? Because this good job by our data team. Super quickly this got updated.
I love it.
Reason. If you guys haven't checked out the tools and data we have on the site, 50% off any package when you sign up for the first time using the link below. Because this took, what, a minute and a half to get Utah Jazz updates for Markkanen being out here. So I want to see what we have. Starting lineups came out as well. Some starting lineups right here. Boston Celtics. We have a starting lineup. Blake Griffin sticking in the starting unit.
Yeah, I thought he would. I will say I
White,
expected
Tatum,
that.
Horford, and Blake Griffin. We've got the OKC starting lineup, which is going to probably not be the same as in the second half, but SGA, Dort, Giddey, Jalen Williams, and Jalen Williams. Gotta love when they put the two Jalen Williamses together.
The Williams I is the plural form.
Williamses, I like to say.
Okay,
it's whatever. Scientists have been debating it.
Yeah,
Rockets, Green, Tate, Martin, Jabari Smith, and Şengün. So here are our updated projections now for the Utah.
Duren's still starting. They lied. Oh my God, a basketball team lied.
It would have been so incredibly stupid if they started Wiseman over Duren.
Yeah, it would have.
I know they said they were going to, but come on now.
Don't do stupid things. Dennis Smith Jr. on the board. Let's go.
Here are our projections for the Utah Jazz. Jordan Clarkson, I'll start with DraftKings, then I'll do FanDuel afterwards. We've got Jordan Clarkson projected for 41, Walker Kessler 34, Kelly Olynyk 32.5, Colin Sexton 32, THT 29.5. And then nobody else really significant.
I mean, we're just playing a ton of them. We're playing an absolute ton. And here's the thing. Now, what really becomes super low owned is anything with New Orleans, because we just had this San Antonio, Charlotte spot lock. Indiana, Chicago, there were decent enough pieces that projected pretty high, and like that's locked. Utah is going to be so popular compared to the Pelicans because we don't have that news yet. So I'm still going to keep some preloaded Jose Alvarado, who's going to be completely unowned, and those lineups are probably going to be gone to the wind. So in the event that you do have CJ McCollum playing basketball, I don't think there's anywhere for them really to go here. But Dallas, we could be looking at a ton of value later, and Pelicans, like those two spots, nobody is going to have. But like Utah, pretty unavoidable spot to have tons of exposure no matter what.
Yeah, I am updating for this.
Oh my God, do I have an insane amount? But again, I'm preloading some pieces, like the pieces that I want from Dallas and New Orleans, just so I don't lose all of them.
No need to worry. No need to rush here. We got 17 minutes. So
it's more of just like, I want to know Kyrie Irving and CJ McCollum so badly, because I would want to get to just... I find it so unlikely either one of them play in the back of my head, but I'm like, if CJ McCollum plays, maybe I should just remove everything from the Pellies and just jam this Utah spot because it's too good.
I wouldn't remove it.
Like just keep a little bit of New Orleans in.
Yeah, because you're still going to want to get, like, if Nance and McCollum are ruled out.
Yep.
It's tough because there's so many of these spots where it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If those guys get ruled out and you don't have them, you're going to feel like an idiot. But if they get ruled in and you don't have more of Utah, you'll also feel like an idiot.
Yeah. So this last run, I got to 19% Josh Richardson, 15% Alvarado. I think that's backwards. I think I should get to more Alvarado because I don't know what to make of Josh Richardson's minutes right out of the gate. I mean, he played 34, was kind of put into more duty there. Just because you had, who was it in early foul trouble? Was it Herbert Jones that got into quick? He got like 2 quick ones, I think. And then Josh Richardson played really, really well, had like an eternal amount of steals in that spot, 5 steals, 2 blocks, useful. But the shooting guard small forward eligibility is just, I think I'm naturally getting to a little bit more if I'm preloading it. I think I'm probably going to tone it down to like getting around like 10%. I made 150. I don't need to like do anything to go nuts. I think Alvarado is the guy that you would want to get to more of. But the positionality is just hard.
Exporting my lineups. By the way, Kelly Olynyk ended up being the player I got the most to from the Jazz.
He's a smash. The
reason it wouldn't have, so Clarkson's the player that I think rightfully projects the best. But there's like, I already used guard spots in like Dennis Smith Jr., Lamelo Ball, and I don't regret that either. but it's easier to fit in Olynyk right now than it is to fit in Clarkson.
I preloaded Clarkson. I have tons of him. I'm excited.
Got it uploaded. I'm good
All
to
right.
go for that. Here's some let's look at what's happening in the early results of these games, and then we'll look back at some of the betting scenarios. Now, for the Charlotte Hornets have mustered just 3 points in 3 minutes. Oh, is this game going to be low scoring? Well, that'd be hilarious. But either way, a decent start for PJ Washington is 3 points and a rebound. Got Lamelo Ball with a rebound and an assist. On the other side of the game, Zach Collins has 2 rebounds and 3 assists in 3 minutes. So strong start for him. And then Branham has 4 points and a rebound. So those are the guys who are doing well in that game. In the other game, where we have DeMar DeRozan out for the Chicago Bulls, we have Ayo Dosunmu has 4 points up on the board for the Indiana Pacers. It is Aaron Nesmith is the only player who scored to this point.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else that you want to add from the Utah Jazz situation, or have we got it covered now?
I think we got it covered. Play Walker Kessler as well. That's another piece that I just like at center. He goes in that bucket of all the good center plays. Like, the only piece I'm getting to from Houston now is a little bit of Alperen Şengün, but like all of that Jalen Green has turned into Jordan Clarkson. That was kind of the game plan from the get-go. Yeah, it is a fully operational Death Star, my friend.
All right, let's look at all these super chats that we just got. And then after that, we'll go into Discord and see what other questions have come in there. And that might bring us fairly close to lock here. But Ryan Nelson, tune into Lindy and Dr. Ross at 8 p.m. today. Top 10 duo. Oh, wow. Top 10
at
duo.
Stokastic or in the world? Like, top 10 at Stokastic is like, I don't know. It's like dead last,
nationally,
right?
He probably means nationally.
Oh, that's what. Thank you, Ryan Nelson, my dude.
But yeah, do check that out. We've got 8 p.m. Eastern time. So 43 minutes from now, Ben and Eric are going to be doing PGA Live before lock together.
Can't wait.
This was the question we answered before about the XFL. Yeah, I would say I'm very much on the fence about playing XFL. The next question is from Hippopotamus. $5,900 left at shooting guard on DK. Who should I go with? 5,900 DK shooting guard. Well, that
Sexton.
Is a shitty
right.
salary spot.
On DK or FanDuel?
DK.
What is Sexton at? 5,600.
56.
Duh.
Yeah.
Easy game.
Sexton. Yeah, never mind. I was looking at the salary wrong.
I love Sex a ton.
Exactly. That's why you play him.
Yeah.
That, and he projects the best there by a mile.
There you go.
Malukar left the super chat. This is a sticker, and this is a kitty dancing with hearts around it.
That's kind of creepy, but thank you.
Yeah. How did Malukar go from Emacs age to being a 14-year-old girl?
He's going tee-hee, tee-hee.
Very quickly. Malukar is not actually an older gentleman. He is 3 middle school girls in a trench coat.
Wow. That is
Riley
a vivid
Cooper,
picture.
14. C. Martin or THT DK last minute. Oh, THT. Easily.
Dynamite. He's my highest owned player on the slate. Jamal Murray ruled out. Hi, Jokic. I already had a lot of Jokic.
We should be getting Aaron Gordon news now, right?
You would think so. You would think so.
Please give it. Could I not have to update teams multiple times? I'm going to give this a second. By the way, Jokic is the best pay-up option on the slate now.
Sure is. I have tons of him and Doncic. Nope.
Come on.
Nothing.
Give us Aaron Gordon out as well.
Nope. Be too convenient.
All right. The next
soup for you.
We have here. We've answered all the super chats. Let's go into Discord. I'm going to wait a second until we talk about the Denver Nuggets, because I think that there's a chance that we'll get the news on Aaron Gordon. I don't want to have to do it where we talk about it and say, well, what happens with Aaron Gordon? And Aaron Gordon gets ruled out right away. But Ernie P, what are your ownerships from the Jazz/Pelicans guys on DK? Well, I'm about to update everything. I can tell you what my priorities are going to be. My priorities are Kelly Olynyk, Talen Horton-Tucker, and Brandon Ingram. and Colin Sexton.
I love all
and
of
Clarkson.
them.
But like those are lower priorities.
Yeah. And this and that and this and that. But yeah, it's going to be fun.
And this is all about to change because I'm going to try to get some more Nikola Jokic. So we've got Jamal Murray out. Aaron Gordon. I guess we just have to assume Aaron Gordon remains questionable.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So other than bumping up Jokic and him now becoming the number one payoff option on the slate, is there anybody else we want to get to from Denver? There's no Jamal Murray. And then also in addition to that, they don't have Bones Highland potentially playing backup guard minutes now either because he's on the Clippers.
Yeah, that would be something that exists. It's so hard because Utah looks so much better. I think you could definitely say the potential for the Pelicans looks a lot better too. Just did those same kind of spots. I'm looking at, let's see. Yeah, nothing all that appealing. I feel like Bruce Brown, I've tried to make a thing for however many days in a row. It's whatever. He's just a dude now on this slate. It's a large enough slate. There's just much better spots. I don't think I want to go out of my way to prioritize anything, but like Bruce Brown a little bit, KCP a little bit, but not even remotely close to much. And Aaron Gordon's going to matter a lot too.
So if Aaron Gordon is ruled out in addition to, then well, other than the fact, like I can't like Jokic more than I already do. Like there's a cap to how much I could play Jokic because I have other center spots taken up. Unfortunately, some of them by Mark Williams, who was 0 fantasy points halfway through the first quarter.
It's not great. Conchar 4K. He's played like 24, 28 minutes in a competitive spot against Miami. He's been serviceable. But 4K, like, just doesn't feel like the right spot to be going to anybody else here.
You know who is just going nuts right now? We have got Malachi Branham has 7 points, 2 rebounds, and assist and a steal so far.
Dear God.
So if that was the piece,
he got that dog in him.
If that was the piece you guys were predominantly getting from the Hornets Spurs game, good on you in some of those game stacks. I actually
played some Devonta Graham, so oopsie, those minutes subsiding.
Well, he checked in. He just checked in.
I have 0% Malachi Branham, so fun.
Yeah, I mean, I do as well. I don't think that's going to be the end of the world, though. Or maybe it will. Who knows? If that's actually what ends the world.
I had 160 lineups, and I have 0 of him. That's unfortunate.
So let's say there's a scenario. We know Jamal Murray's out. If Aaron Gordon is also out, you mentioned Bruce Brown. I think Michael Porter Jr. would have to be somebody who looks better as well.
Yes.
Anybody we'd go crazy looking at off the bench?
No, there's just a lot of unappealing fantasy point per minute guys. I'm trying to come up with like a case to get to somebody else, but I don't really have it. Like KCP is my second highest owned Denver player, and I have 3% of him.
It would be Bruce Brown for me if Gordon is also ruled out.
Yeah.
But then the other issue too is I have him projected fairly decently. I feel I'm going to rerun lineups just to be like, hey, he's good, but all these other guys are way better.
That's exactly what happened with me.
All right. Let's crunch these out again.
Crunch. Oh, cool. I play Gordon Hayward and he sucks. That's fun. What a absolute moron.
Is Dennis Smith Jr. going to have a shitty game? That would be annoying.
That would be very bad. He's my highest owned player from that game.
He was off to a poor start when I was just looking at stats.
Yep, 46% of him. That would be bad.
Still a lot of ball game left to be played. Dennis Smith Jr. has a rebound and an assist now. Lamelo Ball off to a pretty good start. 6 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists for Lamelo. PJ Washington has 3 points and 2 boards. Hey, Mark Williams on the board. He got a rebound and scored a bucket.
Whoop-de-doo.
And then we've got
from a parade.
Zach Collins up to 4 points, 2 rebounds, and 3 assists for Zach Collins.
That's nifty.
Are we caught up on the super chats? Good point, too, by Kevin Sears. Greg gets 600 lineups, and poor Eric is only allowed to play 160. Must be the school restrictions. Wow. Good point. Why are you only allowed to play 160 lineups?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know. You get those 600 at different reps. I've Sean. It was somebody else.
No, I've Sean also.
Oh, go us. I didn't know we had the same rep. We never talked about that.
Yeah. You know what's funny, actually? Because I just realized there was something that Sean had texted me that I screenshotted and sent to you before about
That's adorable.
You could
I was
have
just
asked
trying
me
to
the same
figure
thing.
out recipes, man. Recipes in the Rainmaker streets.
Yeah, they only have it for. They only did it for NFL right now, not for UFC yet.
It's wild.
Zach LaVine, 5 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists now. And then we've got Vooch up to 5, 3, and 1. Nobody else doing anything from Chicago. Is there anything that's surprising about your lineups as you reran them? And we could also look at NBA Bet Pro one more time.
Yeah, not as much Brandon Ingram as what I wanted. This
Okay.
Sexton and Clarkson situation is really, really cutting it slim. I feel like Brandon Ingram I should get to a little bit more of here in the next minute or so.
I want to have the
And also, does Najee Marshall make any sense if Larry Nance is out? Probably not on this slate.
Like, yes and no.
Okay.
Just to what you said before, he's 4,000 on. Yeah, like he's gonna end up projecting for like what 25, 26 fantasy points.
Yeah.
In that scenario, which is good relative to his price. And then it's just going to be like, all right, but I have other guys I like better.
Correct.
That's the way it's going to go today.
It's a tough slate. There's too many good spots.
This is one of these slates where we could play like 15 players in a lineup.
Yeah, exactly. Because now trying to limit it to 8 on each one of these on DK, and I'm taking I have 5 main lineups. I'm trying to figure out exactly what I want to do. I'm kind of splitting. I'm taking one lineup and making it like the Pelicans lineup. I have one lineup. I'm making it like the Dallas lineup. And then, I mean, Utah's just all over me. I have so much of them. It's crazy.
All right, uploading this set of lineups because I only got 3 minutes left. If not now, then never. So play these guys.
If not now, when, Greg? Seize the day.
Yeah, good point. Not now. And when am I going to upload? Well, if not now, then I'm literally not going to have lineups uploaded. So,
yeah, you missed a super chat.
Which super chat did I miss? Oh, Riley. All right. Duran or Collins? Well, I didn't play either of those guys. Let's see.
Didn't play either.
What's the price point?
O'Reilly.
So I assume he means Duran 5,400, John Collins 53. Kelly Olynyk over both of them.
Yeah, that is correct.
Yeah, so I say play Kelly Olynyk. I have him projected better. If you already have Kelly Olynyk, then Duran. But Olynyk I think is a better play than Duran. I have Olynyk for 6 more fantasy points. Yeah, we talked about that. We said I'll reiterate, but we did do that one. Cody Martin or THT. THT was the answer. So Riley, THT. And by the way, these are going to correlate together. The reason we like THT is the same reason I just answered Kelly Olynyk. We got marketing out now for the Jazz.
Yep.
Some final props to close us out for the day. I'm going to refresh and see what our numbers are looking at over on NHA. Refresh the page. See what NBA Bet Pro is liking now. Because, even though we went through this 10 minutes ago or 15 minutes ago, there's been some pretty significant changes already.
Gigantic.
So which props look good? And also NHA sometimes is slow to update these props.
Which is good for us. Oh my gosh.
Apparently my computer's slow to refresh sometimes.
Yeah, same thing here. I just got everything updated the way I want it. There we go. All right. Whew. That was an uncomfortable one. That was a lot of swapping there. Is it a Burns week? Hell yeah, it is, Nate D. One of my 2 outright bets so far. I'm going to talk with Ben and hopefully get a couple more on the board.
Yeah, stick around for that. By the way, Kelly Olynyk over 1.5 threes. What else looks good?
Love it.
Care. Kelly Olynyk. Oh, so actually, here's my favorite one. Kelly Olynyk over 11.5 points. Go play that over on No House Advantage.
Yep.
Close with that. Kelly Olynyk
Done.
over 11.5 points. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Stick around on the YouTube channel. Like this video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. But 30 minutes from now, Eric Lindquist makes his return to PGA Live Before Lock with Ben Raza. Go check them out. Good luck tonight, guys. See you back here tomorrow.